So that's not a selling
They're already
point.
on borrowed time, and they're trying to act like, hey, post 9/11 furnace.
Yeah.
This doesn't know the old world. Wrench a deck.
That's what they call it, right?
Wrench on
Hey, want to come over and wrench a deck?
hammer some nails away on that puppy. It would make for a great story, though, when in like 3 to 5 years on this podcast, we have to talk about how Annette left before the pool boy who took care of the pool she didn't even want.
So help me God.
So a pool she didn't want, but now she's engaged to Enrico, and they're leaving the country, and you're just shaking your fist.
Enrico! I mean, everyone's American, right? We're in America.
Hey, welcome to America.
Damn that Enrico.
Matter of time now, right?
Oh, we're not getting a house with a pool.
Can't do it anymore.
Guarantee you
That'll
that.
be in the back of your head now up until, 6 months in, you realize, boy, I don't like taking care of this pool. We got to hire it out. And you start exclusively looking for, like, Russian women instead of Latin men.
Yeah. It's not going to be Enrico. I know that. I know that much. It's the Steve and Kyle podcast. It's Monday, July 24th, 2017, the year of our Lord. Boy, has it been a whirlwind couple of days.
Yeah. Boy, it feels like I just saw you. We didn't speak, like, at all yesterday until this morning when I said, hey, what time do we want to record?
Yeah.
It feels like I dropped you off 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, I was going to say 20, but
Yeah.
10's pretty close. The Boston trip, I'm sure we'll talk about it at great length a little bit later in the episode. Actually, coming up probably next.
Yeah,
in
it
the
won't be
episode.
too long. My goodness.
But yeah, man, that was a trip. That was a trip and a half, and we crammed it all into like 12 hours.
We sat before, without divulging too much early on. We sat at the bus stop going to the airport, and we looked and said, I don't know if two people could have fit more in this city in 9 hours than we did.
Yeah, I think we did Boston right. We crammed as much in, and I think that the really depressing part was when it was what time would we go back to the airport? Around 7:00 or so.
Yeah,
and
7.
And we sat. We're sitting on that bus stop bench, and we realized, we're not going to be home for another 8 hours still.
We had a work shift left
Yeah.
to be home. One of the most absurd things ever. So, plenty of tales from that coming up. But yeah, my God, what a whirlwind.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit.
whirlwind.
We also have I have an update on some house hunting stuff.
Are these just going to continue being updates until you both decide just stay here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, probably.
Because in my mind, this is going to be like month 8, diary log 2.
Yeah.
This one had a different color than she liked. Like, it's going to end up with you and Annette on the outs.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Suddenly,
why don't you just like this paint color? Like,
I like mid-century modern. She wants farmhouse. But you might be surprised with the update that I'll give in a little bit.
oh, boy. Tell me where we're moving.
You might be surprised.
Oh, man.
Might have a bit of an update.
Oh, God.
Well, put it this way. Since the last time we recorded, we have walked through 8?
Oh, wow.
8 houses, I think.
Man.
So, yeah. Do you think one of them's the winner? I don't know. I
If
don't know why I asked you and then I answered, but
Well, it's building suspense. You know, that's what we're doing here.
trying to be coy.
Right. Well, I feel like it needs to be said. If I type in the new address on Google Maps from my home and it says more than 25 minutes,
Okay.
I hope everybody enjoyed this podcast for what it was. And our early sentiments that said, we don't want to number them because there might not be another one.
Yeah.
That may come to fruition. Otherwise, we'll just do like all those other garbage podcasts that everybody does where, oh yeah, we just Skyped in 3 people on one,
Right.
no, I'm sure we won't step all over each other or anything like that.
No, because there's never a delay with that
Right.
at all. It always sounds perfectly fine.
Right. Man, so I got here, you were telling me that about how your non-functional Sunday took place just because being exhausted, right? I mean, and exhaustion's one thing, but it's most people's days, let's argue whatever science would recommend, 16 hours, 8 hours of sleep, right?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
even in that, it's 8 hours of work, per se.
Right.
So you and I decided to up the ante with our Saturday, where it was just 24 straight hours with a few cat naps on an airplane and a car.
Yeah, every now and then.
And, I mean, none of it work, but walking in the sun and everything. So you're telling me about your Sunday, and when I left, I was like, oh, I'm going to be the same way. I'll be lucky if I leave the couch. And next thing you know, Sunday morning or a little after 11, man, I'm out there, I'm mowing the lawn. we got plans to go see a movie.
Yeah. Yesterday, despite I slept in until 10, which is pretty late.
Right.
I would have slept much later.
Yeah.
But Annette came downstairs at 10 o'clock. I think it was... She wanted to wake me up, but she knew that I was going to be kind of pissed. So she sugarcoated it by bringing me literal breakfast in bed.
How nice.
She comes downstairs. She's like, I made you breakfast in bed. And I was like, oh, I can't be mad at you now. That was the nicest thing ever.
That would be fantastic.
So, yeah, we'll get to I'll get to a little bit more of that later. But I think we need to talk about something that happened last week that surprisingly is an update to something that happened the week before.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think if this surprised me more or the initial encounter, but I think in hindsight it has to be the initial encounter.
Yeah.
Because we didn't expect that at all, right?
No, and the second one, I am not surprised at all.
So we wrapped up the summer softball season last Tuesday with a tournament loss in the first round of our tournament.
Thought we had him.
More than okay we wanted to get out of this city anyway, so job well done, team. And
we achieved our goal.
Yeah. So
of failing in the tournament.
Kind of, what's the word? Like where you see things coming, omniscient, whatever.
Premonition.
You before the game, you asked me like, "Hey, who plays after us?"
Yeah, because we were the 6:15.
The early game.
The way that this league works, there are games on Tuesday nights at 6:15, 7:15, and 8:15.
Yeah.
So we're playing the 6:15 game, and I said, "Oh boy, I wonder who's playing after us." Knowing full well that it was going to be the team that that we had an issue with the previous week when the first baseman threatened to
attack our pitcher, and then yelled at you, and
all hell broke loose.
Right,
yeah,
that's the only way to describe it. We discussed it in length last week, so.
This is weird because I haven't thought about this in like 5 days.
Well, because it's been such everything else.
There's a good chance that I'm not going to remember. Like,
right.
You're going to have to fill in parts of this story for me.
Yeah, and I came in a little bit later. So you asked that, and like you said, of course, because karma, it had to be that team, right?
Yeah, so about halfway through our game, I happen to turn around. The parking lot is in, like, past the outfield fence.
Yeah.
So I turn around and I see... like 4 or 5 guys gathered, basically sitting on the tailgate of a pickup truck in uniform, and I'm like, I don't think that's our buddies from last week.
I didn't even see that.
It was their. I know. I recognized the uniforms. I thought, oh god, all right, here we go. So as our game is getting close to ending, their team started walking up. And I think we were the visiting team.
Yeah, we were the
week.
Visitor, yeah.
Well, don't you know it? They were the visiting team in their game.
So they're headed towards our bench.
So they came and they stood directly behind our bench. And so I just didn't make eye contact, kept up. We're playing a game. I'm paying attention to the game, talking to guys on the bench, joking around. And so our game ends. We lose 1,000,000-1.
And normally we're out of there pretty quick. Yeah. If we're going to chit-chat, the team, whoever sticks, we'll go sit in the parking lot for the most part.
Sure.
Chat. I'll take off separate. This week was a little bit different. Joe, we were talking and trying. Part of the team wanted to get like a pitcher for us all, which I think would have been a nice thing to do. Mm-hmm. Didn't end up happening. Not of our own will, though.
Yeah.
From my point of view, which 5 feet away from you, I'm trying to figure out like, hey, where's everybody? Did anybody leave? Like, hey, let's get a pitcher, I say, and nobody's listening, which is pretty typical, right?
Well, you're the skipper.
Right, yeah. Yeah, but so that means automatic disregard. So I turn around and I see you and a player on their team 5 feet apart, and I see you talking, nodding your head like, okay, but subdued.
Yeah.
So when I'm watching this happen, I think, oh, this guy must have apologized.
Like, we're working it out.
Because it's like I said, there's no exaggerated motions. There's nothing big happening.
Yeah, it was a conversation. Like if he had said like, hey, man, how'd you guys do tonight? We lost. We didn't.
Yeah.
Well, good luck tonight in your game. Hey, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
So,
like, it was that tone.
Until I overhear whatever his name, the first baseman, the guy, as it turns out, go lift his hand and start pointing his finger and going, and I would never say that, okay? Never. So don't say that again. And he's pointing at you. And to your credit, you just say there, you go, okay.
All right, man.
Okay. Which I think probably infuriated him more.
Yeah, that I didn't get.
That you didn't get a rise, because I think, well, as we now know, he wanted a rise out of somebody, anybody. It didn't matter.
Sure.
So at this point, I overhear this, and I don't know why I did. I'm down a limb, and I decide, well, I can't let this stand.
Yeah. Well, to go back a little bit, what he actually said to me, because I was leaving the bench.
Yeah.
And
we're headed the same way.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like fiddling with my phone or something, and I look up, and he's standing right there. He
came to confront you.
I have to walk past him to get off the bench.
Yeah.
And he says to me, "Hey, man." And I didn't even recognize him at first, and I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I see I remembered what number he was.
Yeah.
So I thought in that split second, I was like, he's going to apologize. And honestly, I would have been, if he had said, hey, things got out of control last week. Sorry. No hard feelings,
Yeah.
Didn't mean to, it sucks that it got carried away like that. Because I had some of the responsibility in that too.
Right.
But I would have put my hand out. I would have said, no problem, man. Just, let's keep it fun. We don't want, nobody's out here to get hurt. We're not winning the World Series or anything.
Yeah.
So I was, in my head, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be cool. Everything will be smoothed over.
Nothing's going to go wrong tonight.
No, of course not. So he says, hey, man. I said, hey, what's up? You ever call me a douche on the radio again, I'm gonna kick your ass.
Oh, is that what? Oh, wow. Yeah. So I didn't realize it even started off that aggressively.
Oh, no. He went from 0 to 100 pretty quickly. And I just looked
Reminder.
at him. Yeah.
Grown man, easily mid-40s, right?
Yeah.
My God.
So I said, you are? Okay. And then I said, I don't think I called you a douche. To which he was having none of that. He said, yep, you did. No, you did. We can go. We can listen to it right now. And I said, let's do it.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. I guess if you're making a claim like, well, let's listen to it right now. I guess I thought he would have it
ready.
Pull out his phone and he'd have like the podcast or something. You said it, and I was like, look, man. Honestly, I don't know if I did or not. I may have, but there are 5 people in that room, and we took a lot of calls during that segment. So I'm not doubting that someone called you a douche. I can't take responsibility for it. I may have said it, but I'm not positive.
I'll say this. So I was there. I was in studio screening calls during that whole discussion, right? Mm-hmm. So that whole discussion took place, I think it was 2 or 3 segments on the radio. Yeah. So it ended up going a little like 30 minutes. I don't remember hearing that word.
I think that there's a chance that one of the guys that called in,
a caller,
I think he was from Pennsylvania, like Scranton or something.
Yeah.
And he was the one he was like, oh, no, what he did was totally justified.
Yeah. And I remember that.
And I kept reiterating to him, like, it was a ground ball. No, totally fine. Totally fine.
I screened that call, and I remember asking the guy, and I said, "No, you're serious, right?"
Yeah.
Yeah. No, man, that's like a capital offense.
Yeah.
I said, "Okay, I'll put you on hold."
Yeah. But I seem to remember him saying somebody was a douche. But I don't know. I don't remember everything.
Right.
I don't care enough to go back and listen to like 30 or 40 minutes worth of radio show. It's just
boy, in hindsight, I might dig it up. I mean, at this point, it does us no good, but I might go back, listen to the podcast segments, because it was, like I said, it was 2 segments maybe, and just to see, because I don't like I said, I don't remember hearing the word.
If I did say it, bring it in. Well, just if you hear it,
the word, I'll bring. Yeah, absolutely.
Bring it in, and
we'll figure it out,
and we'll play it. But so it was right around that time, because me and him kind of went back and forth a little bit, and then that's when you said, you kind of poked your head and you're like, "Oh, what's going on here?"
Yeah.
And I think I was like, "Well, he threatened to kick my ass," and that's when you said, "Oh, cool, yeah, this is still going on from last week, huh? You haven't let it go yet." And that he got very defensive and said, "I said, look, man, you threatened to hurt one of our players." "No, I never did. I've been playing in this league for 20 years, and never in my career would I say something like that." And I actually laughed at him in his face, and I said, "You just referred to playing men's league softball as your career.
Right.
You referred to it as a career." And then he took the like, "Yeah, so?
Yeah, what do you tell me you don't do this 4 nights a week?"
So? What? So?
and
so, okay. Like, it's obviously going nowhere. So we're bickering back and forth. Then Rusty jumps in between me and him. And
so at this point, there's 3 of us, right? So you're there, I step next to you, and then Rusty jumps in because it's escalating now. Like, voices are raised. This isn't we've passed chit-chat level because now I'm within 2 feet from him. And I think it was right after Rusty jumps in, but I'll let you recap what he said before it took the turn that made me the most mad.
Well, Rusty jumps in and he says something along the lines of like, "Well, get a cooler job if you want to talk about stuff on the radio too."
Right. Like, if you want to talk about it on the radio, be on the radio. Or did you talk about this to anybody at your job, he said. And but yeah, he was ready right there too, right?
Right, yeah. So he gave me the warning of the next time you talk about this on the radio, I'm going to kick your ass. In my head, I'm thinking, well, if you were serious about that, you would do it right now because you have, like, I'm literally 1 foot away from you and you have the opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
The fact that you're doing the whole,
watch
next
out.
time.
Yeah,
real ballsy.
Like a slap on the wrist from Dad here.
Yeah, it's real ballsy to say that when you know that after this interaction, I will never see you again.
Right, in a million years. So I didn't hear the initial where he told you he was going to beat your ass. Like I said, I came in late. I thought it was a civil conversation. So at one point, I'm in the middle, and I actually tell him, "Don't you have a game? Go on the field. Like, just get going." And he points at me and goes, "I'm going to beat your ass." And I'm like, I throw my hands in the air. And what we've neglected to say is no more than 3 feet away from us are 2 city, not employees, they're umpires for the game. Mm-hmm. They're on behalf of the city, right?
Yeah.
I throw my hands in the air and I look to the umpires and I go, "Are you hearing this?" And one of the guys, I think, umped our previous game. This other guy I had not seen before, but can only be described as suburban Wilford Brimley.
Good description.
He's laughing.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, "He just said he's going to beat my ass. Like, is that, like, seriously, are you going to do anything? Are you going to say anything here?" Yeah. And he keeps laughing. He doesn't even say anything to me. So this player sees the umpires laughing. And me, after I said that to him, he goes, "Been playing here since I got out of the military, man. Everybody knows me around here." We're like, they know you because you're an obnoxious, loud a-hole, not because it's like, hey, there's Jimmy. Everybody go say hi to Jimmy, right? Mm-hmm. So that's where I lost my temper. And we started walking away, and I started yelling at the umpires, oh, yeah, effing laugh it up. This is all an effing joke to you guys. And I said, this is the reason we left this city. Years ago, this is the reason we're leaving again, yada, yada. No words. No. Until the umpire finally goes, hey, you guys, your game's done. You need to go. We were trying!
Now, also worth noting, at this point, nearly everyone that's left on the bench from our team is standing right there.
Yeah, it's a huddle.
Tough guy from the other team, I noticed none of his teammates were really
There's like two
defending him, and I feel it's because they know that he's the problem.
Right. The majority, I'm sure, does. So there has to be, I'm guessing, there's two people maybe who from a distance, they weren't even there, like right there. I overheard call him a douche.
Yeah. Get him, Johnny.
Like, who are you, short, stubby dude, trying to field grounders for your practice on slow pitch day? So,
I forgot about his one line, and because then it turned into how he was softball guy and he was super serious, and then he dropped the mother of all insults on our softball team when he said, maybe you guys should just be a little bit better then. And I said to him, wait, you mean we're not good at softball? To which anyone listening in the world would be able to sense the sarcasm.
Right.
To which he rebutted, yeah, well, you said it first on the radio last week. Yeah. And I actually said to him, yeah, I know. I'm actually making fun of you right now to your face.
No idea.
No.
Oblivious.
No clue.
So an update that so that essentially ended that interaction. Thank goodness. Me screaming at the two umpires as we leave. A couple of updates from that. One is kind of depressing. So one of the what seemed to be good guys on the other team was their pitcher. Mm-hmm. And we get to the parking lot, and he was either running late or not pitching, whatever. He was walking in, and Chris, one of the injured teammate, saw him in the parking lot, walked up to him and said, hey, man, I just want to let you guys know, no hard feelings.
Yeah, I saw them talking. I saw them shake hands.
I know it wasn't on purpose. I was just, I had to get out of there type of thing, which kudos to Chris. I wouldn't have done it at that point. And I don't know if that's holding a grudge or what, but I'd have still been a little bit sour, I think. So Chris, I asked, I go, hey, what went on? Because in my mind, he's asking like, hey, who's that guy? Mm-hmm. Right? One of the pitcher's concerns was that you talked about him on the radio.
Was it really?
Yes. So if that goes to show you, like, even the good guys on that team who seem to be nice and genuine, like, because he was worried about Chris when he got hit.
The
big beard.
The guy with the beard was concerned that I talked about him.
Yes.
Not the douche.
Yeah.
The
only thing I remembered was that there was speculation that he was the one who hit Chris, which wasn't true, I don't think. But I don't know if that even got mentioned.
No, I think it did, but I wasn't sure. I thought that from our message, our team message on Facebook, I thought I had seen somebody say, I'm pretty sure that the guy that hit Chris was the pitcher from the first inning,
which even still was not.
Look, bottom line, no one's names are mentioned.
Right.
So the only people that know who we're talking about are the people that were there at that game. Yeah. I apologize to that guy because I did not mean to.
But his name wasn't brought up.
No, but still, like I feel bad. I legitimately feel bad about that. I didn't want to make it sound like I didn't want to accuse him of doing anything that he didn't do, and so I thought that that's what the case was.
Sure.
That I was not trying to, lead anybody on or lie about that or anything. I honestly just thought that that's how it was. My mistake.
But he was, like I said, he was one of the good guys because he was right when Chris got hit. He was the one trying to, like, hey man, like, you okay? And go and running onto the field to check on him. So I don't remember there was any malicious ideas about him if he even was the one who hit you. Because again, we're talking in this recreational second tier slow pitch softball game, the percentage of people who should be able to pick exactly where they're going to hit the ball are minuscule, right? Yeah. And there's no chance that he was one of those people.
Right.
Okay. So that happened. So in my mind, I'm already like, okay, well, even the nice guys out there, they're all a little bit concerned about, don't call me names. Like, don't make me look bad.
Yeah.
So that was the straw enough for me that I ended up emailing the city and said, hey, I just wanted to lay out exactly what happened for you the last 2 weeks. This is why we left years ago, and our hand was forced to play here this year, but we will never be back. So I laid it out for him. This was 10 o'clock at night, right, on Tuesday. And just said, I know you're probably not going to take any action on it. You're filling softball leagues up. You don't really care. People are, as long as people are there, he's awful at it anyway, right? I didn't even know there was a tournament until the day after our last regular season game the week before. So I got an email at like 11:30 that night from him. And very nice. I am so sorry. Nothing like that should ever happen. I will be speaking to their manager and all of the umpires about it. So, I mean, we'll never see the results of that because we're hitting the bricks. We're out of there. But, that
it was.
We're 30.
I know. I'm closer to 40 than 30.
And how is this? And that guy's closer to 50 than he is to 40.
Yeah.
One of the most surreal.
So who knows? Maybe he'll end up hearing this, and he'll get all mad again. And look, man, save your energy because we're not going to fight. I'm not going to like meet you at the park and start throwing down because I'm an adult. And if I want to say a mean thing about you, I'm going to say a mean thing about you.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not. If you feel like you have to like retaliate by punching me in the nose because you're a big guy, well, then I guess I'm getting punched in the nose. Yeah. But I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that that's not going to happen.
I've got an hour game. You meet me at the light pole, the one with the graffiti. And I'm going to beat your ass in my honor.
You know the one.
And my family's name, Steve. Talk about me on the radio.
Yeah.
Should not go unsaid, by the way. The number of times it was called upon on the radio. If you know this guy, if you were on the team, please call. If you want to defend. I screened one call of somebody who claimed they were on the team, but they hung up when they picked them up to go on air. Yeah. But obviously, this guy listening, or this guy saying the stuff he said last week, was listening. But what seems to be more likely is he heard it from a buddy who said, happens all the time, right? I mean,
exactly.
For crying out loud, it's happened on this podcast, Steve, with someone I called a friend.
Yeah, there's, unless you hear it, don't accuse me of it.
Right.
Again, though, in this case, I may have said it.
Right.
But don't do the whole, oh, well, I wasn't listening, but somebody I know was listening. Right. And they said that they heard this.
Yeah. And again, that's happened on this very podcast. And that's in my mind, that's exactly what happened. This grown man, somebody said, hey, did you play the team with Steve from Freeburg and Outings on it? Yeah, why? I think he just called you a douche. And then that stewed in his mind for 6 days, waiting this is the kind of guy who's like sitting in some cracking his knuckles with like just a tight tank top on. Like, I'm gonna get that guy next Tuesday. I'm gonna yell at him.
One of my favorite parts of this whole thing is of all the mean things that were said about that man, he took offense to douche.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't take offense to the fact that we said he was probably stuck in middle management.
Yeah.
That all of his coworkers hated him. No one liked listening to his stories of softball glory.
Right.
How he went home to his lonely apartment. How he didn't have a family. How he didn't have friends other than the people on that team.
Right.
But no. Douche. That's what got him.
Right.
That's what got him.
He just could not abide by that devastating insult.
That guy 100% proved everything that we said and thought about him.
Yeah.
He is softball guy. He takes softball too seriously. I understand if you have a competitive spirit and you want to go out there and have fun, that's cool. But when you start threatening that you're going to injure somebody on the other team because of a ground ball to your effing pitcher, you have to step back and reevaluate things and say, maybe I'm the issue. Maybe I'm like, I bet if you went back and you looked at all the conflicts that you've had throughout the course of your life,
there's a denominator there.
There's a common denominator, and it's probably because you said something that kind of made somebody else go,
that's weird.
If you notice next time you're in a conversation and it turns kind of weird, look at the look on the other person's face.
Right.
And if they look like they're going, what? Know that you did something wrong.
Right.
You interpreted something wrong. You threatened somebody for some reason.
Yeah, the cause is you.
Yeah.
Take a look inward. So I'm
never in his career.
Right. So I'm 30. I've legitimately never been in a fist fight, right? Mm-hmm. So this guy, and I would say I was too competitive when I used to play softball, which I played from 2008 when I was 21 to 2012. And never once was I threatened or did I threaten anybody else on the softball field. And like I said, I was, there were jokes made about it on the radio like, oh, there's no way Kyle's going to be able to do that, right? But at some point, you have to look and say, boy, I need to stop that. Yeah, boy, I need to grow up. Boy, why do I care this much? And I did. Like you said, the competitive spirit is there. You want, it's no fun
going. Likes losing.
Yeah, and it's no fun going out there if you're going to lose 22-3. Like we got mercy to 3 or 4 games. That takes away some of the fun. I don't care. I mean, it sucks losing, but as long as we're having fun and we can play 6 or 7 innings every game, I think we're all out there and enjoying it for the most part. Yeah. It's when we're playing 3 innings, losing by 16 runs, and somebody's threatening to beat our asses. That's where it's like, hey, this stopped being fun, and it's borderline absurd, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, man, and I honestly thought, way back when, man, I must have been the worst. And now I know I wasn't, because the worst was just in a different league at the time, and I didn't have to encounter him, right?
Yeah.
Man. So that's softball.
Maybe that's one for him to learn on. I hope that he listens. I hope he hears it somehow and says,
listen,
I should just, because come on, man, you know what you said to me.
Yeah.
I know what you said to me. You basically admitted it after the first game when you waffled back and forth on your responses. When the first time you said, keep talking. And then it was, I didn't say anything. And then it was, I was just joking.
Yeah.
Well,
he couldn't decide
which one was it? And then he told me, part of our chit chat was, no, man, I said middle's open. And I said, well, if you said middle's open, how did I get it's open season on your pitcher all game long?
Right. And even still,
open is the same, but
middle open is just a more veiled threat. When you say, hey, middle's open, he's now saying we're shooting to go up the middle.
Or if he had said, hey, man, come on. Middle's open.
Yeah, right? I'll say this, in case there is any confusion, I want to come out in the affirmative. That guy is a douche.
All right, Steve.
and you can find me, and you can beat me up. Big man.
Okay, Kyle.
Well, I'm glad we got that all cleared up. So,
and it's very clear who said that.
Yep. Steve and the other guy.
There's no way he knows.
There's no chance.
He doesn't know.
On the remarkable outside chance, him or a friend or associate listens to this podcast, please pass that along to him. That the other guy called him a douche, and if he wants to find me, I will not send him my address. Because this isn't the schoolyard. Yeah. But hey, that outside chance, Steve, is growing. So I know we say it all the time, but my goodness, thank you everybody for the downloads and the listens this past week. For crying out loud, that it was insane, right?
Oh, shot, drink.
I know it.
There was
I saw that. You mentioned that, or you mentioned that to me.
My brother had sent me a text, and he said, "New idea for a drinking game."
Yeah.
Every time Kyle says, for crying out loud, you do a shot. And I said, you're going to be a very intoxicated person.
Mm-hmm.
So, shot.
But the download's tremendous. Obviously, a nice boost from the association with Steve's side gig a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
But thank you, everybody, for listening, for downloading, for spreading the word. It's been outstanding to see the numbers go that way. Because like you said, we did talk about, like, I like doing it. And even if a few people listen, I'll do it. If the numbers got to a certain, there was like a 3-week point there where we mentioned it here on the podcast. We're like, that's weird.
Boy, everything kind of fell apart.
40% of what we were doing for the last 6 weeks. But yeah, just outstanding. Please find us on social media. That's the best way to find the show and to follow it and to get in touch with us. And if you follow us now, you can get fully caught up from the weekend trip to Boston, where pretty much all evidence of our trip is on social media. I think I have like 3 pictures on my phone that aren't.
Yeah. I had actually going back to like you said, you can catch up very easily. Somebody, I believe they tweeted at us, not sure, it might have been a Facebook message, but they said that they just heard of the podcast a couple weeks ago, downloaded every episode and binged them all in the last 3 weeks.
That's too much.
So they listened to the last year of our lives in 3 weeks.
Yeah, so they listened to that's nuts to me.
Yeah, that's a lot of time.
Hours-wise, I mean, because our shortest one was an hour plus, right?
No, I think we had one that was like 45 minutes or something.
Maybe the first one.
Maybe.
But I would argue our average time on these 54 podcasts is getting closer and closer to 2 hours than it is to 1 hour.
Yeah.
Let's call the average an hour 45. Multiply that by 50 alone. Mm-hmm. That's a ridiculous amount of hours that person has listened to. Man.
Yeah, I wonder, I would have to, maybe I'll do that. No, I won't. Why
am
I even saying that?
Why would you do that? There's no universe around it that would make sense to use your time on.
Nope, not at all.
But if you have a quick I think it's Mark, listener Mark. I used to work with the guy. I think anytime we've asked for like a numbers thing, when we asked about, hey, oh God, we're going to hit 2.5 hours before you know it.
Oh,
and then he sent us the graph
within
8 minutes that had, you're going to hit it by July. And sure enough, we hit 2.5 hours a couple times in June and July.
All right. So Mark, including this episode that we are talking to you on right now, we will need a total runtime for every episode.
Yeah. And I won't even respond to another message that's not Mark.
Yeah.
So he's now the podcast accountant.
It would actually be very easy to figure out. If you have all the episodes downloaded, you can, like, if they're all on the same playlist, it should tell you what the link to the playlist is.
Yeah, we're not going to go through that.
No, not a chance.
That's Mark's job.
Mark's the stat guy.
Mark's the podcast stat guy, official.
Yeah, that was I appreciate all of those. All of the downloads, a lot of the social media love and everything that we've been getting lately. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, the Twitter at Steve and Kyle, the Facebook, facebook.com/Steve and Kyle, and on Snapchat, Steve and Kyle Pod. Best avenues to find us.
Forgot about that Snapchat thing.
I think I realized...
You're pretty much carrying the weight on that.
Yeah. I think I realized this weekend, though, on our trip, how tedious some of it is and how close I am to... Like, even if it came to paying for, like, an app that'll simultaneously post. Mm-hmm. So, I took, like, a 30-second video when I got here to your house at 3:30 in the morning on Saturday. Mm-hmm. All right, let's post it to Facebook. Wait for it to upload. Post the same thing to Twitter. Wait for it to post the same thing to Snapchat. Oh, but Snapchat is different because it's video and it's too long, so you can't put text on. And then even when we get to Boston, like, all right, well, let's post this picture and post it here, post it there. Oh, I got to send it on Snapchat. All the way down. You end up like
put in all. We come up with the hashtag that is so stupidly long it takes forever to type it all out.
Just absurd.
It's all our own fault. But
hey, we're putting in the work on social media, so please do follow us there. And again, it really is the best avenue to get a hold of us.
Yeah.
If you send us an email, I'll get it. Yeah, I'm probably not going to respond to it though.
So this whole thing, the Boston trip. Mm-hmm. This all started months ago when you decided you were going to binge watch the TV series Cheers in its entirety.
I thought about this the other day, and if somebody remembers or has the wherewithal or time to figure out when it was first mentioned,
Mark,
I would be
Mark,
curious.
Get on it.
Mark, you're on it.
Stat guy.
You're the new listen to it all back guy.
Nikki's pretty good too. I bet Nikki could find it.
I bet Nikki could find it, or at least have a general idea, because I don't remember. In my mind, this could have been 4 months ago. Mm-hmm. It could have been 8 months ago. But yeah, so I decided on a whim kind of to watch the entire series of Cheers because it was on Netflix.
Now, had you watched, like, what was your relationship with the TV show Cheers before that?
I remember when I was younger, my parents would watch it. Okay. And I kind of ingested some of it when I was very young. So I was born in 1987. The show went off the air in 1993. So I think they may have been watching reruns as well. That's how I kind of took it in, because I didn't remember a lot, and obviously I wasn't like, oh, I remember this plot line, no, it was more, I remember my parents watching the show, me watching it, me kind of remembering some of the imagery from it. Okay, and I'd seen some episodes over the years, and I always enjoyed it, but I never saw. Hold on, that's right. What? I can't believe we started this without it. We're just an embarrassment.
The hell are we doing?
Spoiler alert!
Oh, wrong one.
You wanna go where people know people all the same. You wanna go where everybody knows your name.
No.
Spoiler alert!
Sorry, we're not good at that.
No, we've talked about our post-production budget, so that's all going to sound seamless because we've now obviously inserted that sound clip at the start of the conversation, so everybody knows we're pros, and we don't have vocal pauses or anything like that.
No, just keep talking.
Yeah,
just keep talking.
Just act like it never happened. So that's kind of my experience with the show, and obviously understanding it from the outside as like a piece of Americana, right? Like American television history, a show that for a lot of examples now, this was a show that was being canceled after its first season. They decided, we'll bring it back. We'll give it one more chance. And it took off to be the highest rated comedy on TV for like 10 years. So my history with Cheers wasn't super in depth, but I was aware of it, as most people are. So I dove in, and I honestly think if I did not rupture my Achilles, I'd have been nowhere near the end.
So did you start watching it before the injury? Okay.
Yeah. So it's definitely more than 3 months. I'd be curious on the second to last Cheers chat, because that'd be a good indication of when I started.
Okay.
Because the last one,
Mark, find that.
Yeah, Mark, find that too. Send us all of this stuff to, preferably in an organized Word document.
Yeah, that would be nice. Maybe
time markers.
No, PowerPoint. I want
PowerPoint's pretty good too. Yeah, I need a nice cover slide.
Yeah, you can insert audio clips into PowerPoint too. So
actually just do the audio work too. Yeah. I know you have a newborn, Mark. Congratulations, by the way. I don't care enough. Get it done.
Mark, I have a Mac, so if you could convert that PowerPoint to Keynote, I'd greatly appreciate it.
But I have a PC, so if you could keep that in a PowerPoint, send 2 files.
Yeah, we need a .ppt and a .keynote. Thank you.
Yep. On the double, please.
Preferably by the time you're done listening to this episode.
Preferably by the time we're done recording, so we can give a quick recap. So ended up, when I ruptured my Achilles, obviously having a little bit of time on my hands, and was able to really get going on it. I mean, there were days where I'd watch 12, 14 episodes because it would be on.
Like half a season.
Ridiculous, right? And like I've mentioned before, so this is before modern sitcoms, obviously, where modern sitcoms are on 21 and a half minutes now. I think 21 to 22 at most. And they're 22 episodes, maybe 24 episodes in a year if you get a full season. Cheers did 24 to 28 episodes in a year, and they were 23 and a half minutes. So, and it was 11 years. So in comparison to today, I was watching, percentage point, 10 to 12% extra per episode, with 10 to 12% extra per season number of episodes. So it took a long time. I remember when I got to the exact halfway point, I'd counted the episodes. I was like, I need to get to this episode, and that's the halfway point. And I thought, that's insane, because I thought I had watched 4 TV series in this time. Yeah. And I was only halfway done.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially now when, like you said, there was 23, 24 episodes, and now it's like with the shows that are like bulk dropped on Netflix
13.
or HBO. Yeah, you get 10, maybe 12 episodes. Like, sure, they might be an hour each, but you get all of them at once, and you can just watch them all in a weekend.
Yeah.
and you're done.
Yeah. I mean, even the most popular of shows, like, so Cheers, it got more popular. All right, a few more episodes, because who wouldn't want those ratings?
Yeah.
But now it's like the opposite model. Stranger Things was phenomenon last year for Netflix. Yeah, we're going to do 8 episodes again.
Was it only 8?
I think it was 8.
Man, I figured it was at least like 10 or 12.
No, and so it's like, oh, all right. I mean, and there's a lot to be said for keep them wanting more type of thing.
Sure.
I mean, Game of Thrones takes that theory and they smash their ratings every year.
Yeah.
But I guess network TV was different and is different. If it's successful, give the people more, burn the candle as hot as it can go type of thing.
So you binged the entire 270 episodes?
Yep, 270 times I saw the inside of that bar.
In roughly 4 months' time or so, give or take.
Right.
And became, safe to say, obsessed with it and obsessed with going to Boston.
The idea about going to Boston never really struck me because early on, simply because I was aware that the bar in Boston that they used for the exterior shots and used for inspiration looked nothing like the inside. So it's like, hey, it's just the inspiration, but hey, that's where they got the idea. So part of me was like, I guess it'd be neat to see someday, but it wasn't like this thing I needed to see.
Yeah. Then
I got towards the end of the show and I was like, man, it'd be pretty cool though to be able to go visit, right? Mm-hmm. And then the idea was like, well, I don't know. I go back to work in a month. I wonder if I could squeeze it in, right? And we had this conversation on the air, on the podcast, talking about how I was considering taking like a day or a day and a half trip by myself.
And this wasn't long ago. This was maybe 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
3 episodes ago.
And I said, no, I just can't do it because the cheap flight's out of Detroit. And if I do it in a day, you got to drive over there. You got to pay for parking. And then you got to drive all the way back. I said I'd fall asleep I wouldn't make it. I said there's no way I'd make it. And you made the idiotic remark that, this is on a weekend. I'd do it. Well, I got internet access here.
Yeah.
So I quickly pulled up. I said, let me just pull up a Saturday, right?
Boy, was I disappointed.
I mean, just pull up the old different date. Steve, it's the same price. And
$178 round trip. Flights leaving Detroit at 7:30 in the morning, getting to Boston at 9:30. Then a return flight leaving Boston at 9:50, getting to Detroit at a minute before midnight.
Yep.
Same day.
So that's obviously the whirlwind trip. And most people listen to the episode. That's how it came to be. That's how, and it happened. It was, I think, 36 hours later. I sent you a screenshot. My flight was booked, and we stopped planning right there. Yeah,
boy, did we. So that was, 3 weeks ago or so. We both booked our flights, and then we talked about it on the podcast, and then a bunch of people emailed or tweeted or Facebook messaged or whatever pretty quickly, including Sean. Sean said, I'm a fan of the podcast. I'm a fan of the radio show. I think he used to live in the Capital Region in New York.
Yeah.
And that's where he started listening to Free Beer and Hot Wings, moved to Boston a couple of years ago, and has been listening via podcast since then. So then he started listening to our podcast, heard us talking about it, and said, I'm here. I'll send these guys the most detailed information ever about this city.
Right.
Sean could be a Boston tour guide. He knew everything.
Everywhere we'd walk by, he had the details on, the history on, a little tidbit about. It was outstanding. The emails, which, again, I said, we booked our flights. We stopped planning.
So we started getting a little bit of a response from people saying, where are you guys going to be? Maybe I'll come too.
Yeah.
And we thought, well, that's just crazy, and that
Who
won't
would
happen.
do that?
Well, when we got to Boston at about 9:30 in the morning, made our way to what was the train station that we took? Like South something.
Silver Line, Steve. Come on.
Took the Silver Line to South Station.
I mean, you gotta be. Aren't you a local now? I mean,
and we
spent 8 hours. We spent 10 hours there. You should be comfortable with the city, right?
So our plan was to meet at the Cheers bar on Beacon at noon. we had tweeted, we're like, all right, well, if anyone's here, still at this point convinced no one's coming.
Because who'd actually make that trip?
Right.
Right.
So,
And honestly, the reason for going was the only plan we made.
Mm-hmm.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Beacon Hill. The inspiration, the old Bull and Finch pub, the inspiration for the television show Cheers.
It's the exterior shot.
That's it. I mean, well, now, not anymore now. Now they renovated, but seriously, that's it. The opening of 270 episodes has some form of that corner of Boston showing the Cheers sign, the steps going down into the bar that were never real.
Yeah.
It was literally an exterior shot for their LA studio where they filmed the show.
So we made our way to we walked around for a while. We walked through the the Boston
Boston Common we walked through,
Common,
saw the
Boston Public Garden.
Yeah, we saw the vendors suiting up their sausage stations and their fried dough stands, getting ready.
We sat on the bench, the Goodwill Hunting bench, that Robin Williams and Matt Damon sat on in that incredible movie. Just walked around a lot, just took a lot of it in.
Boy, did we walk around a lot, Steve. I don't feel like that should go understated for 1.5 feet Kyle here.
I'm surprised that we didn't walk more though, because I looked at my total. I have a Fitbit.
Yeah.
So it was funny because I remember looking at it for the last time on Saturday night, like before we got on that flight, and I knew that I was at like 17,000 or 18,000 or so, which I was kind of surprised with.
I thought
it would be more, but we took a train, we took a couple Ubers.
Yeah.
So all right, whatever. And then I woke up yesterday morning. Yesterday was Sunday. I get up and Annette and I were running all over the place yesterday. And at one point, I looked down at my Fitbit and I'm like, it's like 11 in the morning. I'm like, how do I have 3,400 steps already today? And she said, because you got home at 3 in the morning. So all of those steps after midnight, we had like a 3-mile walk to our car. It seemed like.
Yeah.
So I got all those steps then.
Man.
But okay, so back to Boston. We're walking around. We go to the Goodwill Hunting bench, and then we said, all right.
We still got to post that picture, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I never did post the side-by-side.
That's honestly one of the things I was most excited about. It's one of the things I really wanted to do, and it's such a small little thing, but a big, big moment in that movie, in Goodwill Hunting. And if you haven't seen it, just turn the podcast off right now. Come back in 2 hours when you're done crying from watching Goodwill Hunting.
Yeah.
And so this scene, so we're walking around expecting, like, hey, there's going to be a marker.
There's going to be a plaque. Everyone's going to be there taking pictures.
I think it's coming up on the anniversary of when he committed suicide, so I thought maybe there'd be flowers.
I think it might have just passed. I thought it was like at the beginning of the summer.
Okay.
Or something. I'm not positive, though.
The images I saw of this bench were after his suicide when a lot of people made it a makeshift memorial. So there's flowers, there was chalk on the cement. It was really neat to see. And I didn't expect it to be to that degree, but I thought there'd be something. No, you and I struggled for about 20 to 30 minutes trying to find what this bench was.
We probably walked past it 3 times. And then we both pulled it up on Google Maps. And even that, it's like mine was saying that it was 70 feet away. But if you looked around, within 70 feet, there were like 3 other benches.
Could have been anywhere.
Yeah, so we actually pulled up a screen grab from the movie.
Yeah.
And we looked at it. I'm like, well, that tree in the picture is that tree right there. Like, it was detailed enough where I could see the knots in the tree, like in the markings in the bark. I'm like, man, it's remarkable
and it was
that this tree hasn't changed in 25 years.
And it was right at this weird junction of walking paths. And I actually downloaded a PDF of the audio tour you can take through the Boston Public Garden. So I was like, well, it says it's in this area, and it's got to be close by. So we figured, this is the one. So we sat down, and we're just essentially killing time for a little bit. So we asked a passerby, hey, can you take the picture of us? Like, we pulled up the image from the movie, right? To the point where, like, all right, well, how's Matt Damon sitting? How's Robin? Like, Robin a little bit hunched over, his head's kind of looking forward, but down. His legs are wider open. Because we wanted to, I want it to be a replica, right?
Yeah.
So she walks behind us, and we kind of guided her where to take the picture from because we had looked. Like, hey, back here, can you take one? So we wait for people to clear, and I'm thinking this thing's going to be perfect because she's back there for, like, a minute.
Yeah, and in hindsight, I should have walked back there with her, framed it exactly how I wanted to, and then just handed it to her and said, wait till I sit down to take the picture.
Right. So she goes back there, like I said, back there for like a minute and a half. Oh, that's great. It's going to be perfect. It's going to be clear to the pond that you can see. It's going to be just like the movie. Mm-hmm. Gives the camera back, realizes it looks like it's zoomed in.
I know.
Like 800%.
Which in most situations, you'd be appreciative.
Yeah, because you
say, oh, cool, you zoomed it in. Thank you. Because most people they're just going to take it with a big wide shot. But that's actually what we wanted. We wanted
the environment.
Yeah.
So it's still like if we were to take the shot from the movie, clip the landscape, right? So it's closer up on Robin Williams and Matt Damon, and compare it to ours. It's really, really good. But when you look at the Matt Damon, Robin Williams in context, which is the pond and is the trees and the grass, compared to ours, it does look like it's just a super zoomed in version of it.
And cropping the original just turns it into two guys sitting on a bench.
Yes, it doesn't hold the same idea.
Yeah, there's no, it's not recognizable. Whereas the original, you instantly look at it and say, Good Will Hunting.
Yeah.
Matt Damon and Robin Williams.
Yeah.
But so we have, she actually took like 8 or 10 pictures.
Okay.
So I'll go through them. I'll see if I can find the best one and try and match it up in the best way.
Right. And even if we can't post like a side by side, you can look up the shot. If you type in Robin Williams, Matt Damon bench, it's the image you will see. It's them from the back, and you can kind of look and see what we were trying to do.
Yeah. So after we left the bench, we walked around a little bit more. We made our way over to Cheers. And again, this is where we had tweeted out. And Facebook, we said, we're going to be here. If anyone happened to make the trip, we'll be here at noon. We're going to have lunch. So we were kind of expecting, well, first of all, I was expecting nothing. Even when people were saying like, hey, I'm going to go. Okay,
better
sure.
to expect nothing and be surprised than hope for like, a huge turnout and be disappointed.
I figured at the absolute most, one person would show up and be like, hey guys, love the podcast. Let's grab a beer, hang out for 20 minutes, drink a beer, leave, and then we'd say, that was really cool.
Right.
That guy came all the way from wherever.
What are we going to do for 9 hours now? Yeah.
So we're sitting there at, what is it, the Bull and Finch?
It's Cheers now, but it used to be called the Bull and Finch Pub.
So we're sitting there, and we both ordered drinks in a nice
the
Cheers mug.
The Cheers 20-ounce mug, which is somewhat replica of the show mug with the dimples on it and the logo,
which is sitting right here on the countertop right now. And because for a mere $7, of course I want the glass. Why wouldn't I get the glass?
Oddly enough, the most affordable thing there, was the glass you drink out of, right?
So we're sitting there having a drink, and then from behind, we're sitting at a bar, and from behind me I hear Steve, Kyle.
Yeah.
We turn around. Yes. Hey, man, I'm Adam. I listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
You guys are, this is so cool. Yeah, I wanted to come out and hang out.
Yeah.
And we're like,
why?
Really?
Yeah.
This is remarkable.
So
we stood there. We talked to Adam for...
Boy, it must have been 30, 45 minutes.
I was going to say probably about a half hour or so. And we learn Adam drove up from New Jersey. From
the middle of New
Jersey. My
Jersey.
motherland.
Yeah.
He drove up, which... blew my mind because that's like a 4.5, 5 hour drive.
Yeah.
And he was first one there. As the story goes, he attended school in Boston.
Yep.
And he just decided, hey, what the heck? I'll go to Boston.
Yeah.
He's a truck driver, so he said driving's not really a big deal for him. Hopped in the car that morning, drove up there, met up with us, and Matt hung out with us until we left for the airport at like 7 o'clock.
Right. I couldn't believe it. So we left when Adam left.
Yeah.
And he had a 4.5 hour drive ahead of him. Now, granted, we were sitting on a plane, but he had to drive home after all that. So he was the first one there, last one to leave. Absolutely unbelievable that he showed up.
And the bummer is, Adam, we left at the same time, and Adam got home probably 3 hours before us.
Right. And it's so sad. Oh, man.
So while we're standing there talking to Adam, I turn around and I see the familiar face of Ms. Nikki Constantine.
Yeah.
From Maine. And I've seen Nikki numerous times for when we would go to do the radio show in Portland. And Nikki's always there. I was like, what the? Like, I know you said you were coming, and in my head, I was able to read that and say, like, Nikki's going to be there. But like I said, at no point in my mind did I think anyone was going to show up.
Exactly.
So Nikki was there with her daughter, and so we stayed at the bar, had another drink, and we ended up deciding, okay, let's go downstairs and get something to eat.
Yep.
So you went downstairs to just see if there was a table available.
Yeah.
Came back up. Yep, they got a table for us. Let's go downstairs. So the 5 of us went downstairs. They seat us at a table in the corner, and within 2 minutes of us sitting down, who showed up? Zach showed up. Yeah. Another guy just walks up to the table. Steve, Kyle, hey guys.
Yeah.
I'm Zach. He sits down, or then they moved us to another table.
To a different table. Yeah, so Zach shows up, and I think Zach was a local guy.
Mm-hmm.
He seemed to know his way around as well. Or no, he had a little bit of a drive, actually, too. He said he drove a little over an hour, he told me.
Where did he come from? Yeah, I
forget where.
He was in New Hampshire, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he came from New Hampshire. And then, so they moved us to another table, a little bit bigger. Half hour later, somebody taps me on the shoulder. Steve? Yeah? Hey, it's Sean. It was Sean, the guy that had sent us.
Sean, the guy who saved our lives in Boston.
Sean's our trip planner. He came up with our entire itinerary.
Yeah.
Unbeknownst to us, until like 2 days before, we still had no plan. And he, let's see, how did we find out that there were?
He came down and said, "Hey, Dave, another listener, Dave Gordon, and his wife are upstairs." I said, "Oh my gosh!" I said, "Hey, this table's just opening. Sprint up there or whatever if you can. Please go get them. Tell them to come down and hang out with us." Well, this bar does not mess around because it's a tourist attraction. If that table's empty, within, I would argue, 90 seconds, that table's seated again.
It's cleared and people are sitting there.
It's an incredible turnabout.
It's a machine there, the way that they run that place, as they should. I mean, it's a tourist trap.
Yeah.
So they're going to make the most amount of money as possible. So they couldn't get a seat, so we felt bad. We finished up our meal, finished up our drinks. We went back upstairs, had another drink, met with Dave and what was his wife's name? I can't remember.
Oh boy, I'm going to feel terrible.
Yeah, I feel terrible. I shouldn't even have said it, that I didn't know the name. But
man,
my apologies to Dave's lovely wife. So we hung out with them for a little while. It sucks. They ended up having to leave. They had driven like an hour or an hour and a half. And then they had to. There was a family thing going on that they had to. Basically, they showed up, had like a beer, and then turned around and left and went back. So thank you so much. That was the fact that you did that trip in such a short turnaround, and we're still like, yeah, this was cool. This was fun. And
I told Dave, I sent Dave a message because we gave them. So if you for everyone who showed up, we brought just a handful of shirts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right? I think we brought like 8 or 10 shirts with us.
And if whoever was there, we gave everybody a shirt and had, we had the first official garbage merch, which buttons, pins, and stickers, or buttons and pins, buttons and magnets and stickers, and totally forgot to give any of that nonsense to Dave. So we've got to ship like an envelope of garbage merch up to Dave.
Yeah. Speaking of the T-shirts, if you go, if you follow us on Twitter or on Facebook, so it's at Steve and Kyle on Twitter or Facebook.com/Steve and Kyle on Facebook. Obviously, if you go there, just scroll down. You'll see pictures that we posted on Friday, I believe.
Yeah, and what I'll do is, now that, those timelines were a little clogged with our trip stuff, we can repost those. So those will be reposted when you're listening to this. Hopefully you're listening to this early enough on Facebook and Twitter. And if you see it, if you see the shirt, you're interested in a shirt, send us a message or write a comment, and I'll reply back.
Yeah.
If you're interested in purchasing one of these shirts, please send us a message. We're setting like a final cutoff date type of thing.
Yeah, I think this Friday we need to hear back by July 28th. Let's just say at 12 noon.
Yep.
If you're interested in a shirt, because right now we have a decent amount of interest, but we're still not positive if we're actually going to place the order or not. Because it costs a decent amount of money to get them printed. Right. So we just have to make sure that it makes sense to order them. But if you are interested, the more orders that we can get, the easier, like the more feasible it is that we'll actually get them done.
Right. And we're not, and again, this isn't some money-making venture for Steve and I. We are doing this because the outpouring is tremendous, and the fact that anybody would want to wear something for this show is absurd.
Yeah.
And especially this shirt, which is kind of a tongue-in-cheek joke.
Yeah, the money for the shirt, the money pays for the shirt, for the shipping, and then like for the guy that I had design it and everything.
Right.
The screen printer, and then anything left over, it would probably be $1 or $2 left over, like per shirt. All we're gonna do is throw it into a little slush fund that pays for any more merch coming up down the line.
Yeah. So I mean, I've sent, and if you message, I send the price. To ship it to you, we're looking at $20 a shirt.
Yeah, which I think is pretty reasonable.
I don't, we're not asking it, but again, it's not like we're saying like, hey, we're donating it to charity, but we're not making buku bucks over here like we're buying a new house. So $20 if you're interested in one of those shirts. Send us a message, send us a tweet, send us a direct message on Twitter, whatever it may be. And again, if you need to see what they look like or if you haven't seen it, the post is on Facebook and Twitter. I'll repost those here by the time you're listening to it.
Funny note about that, actually, because I gave one to Annette. So yesterday we had a couple of errands to run, and we wanted to go out and grab something to eat. We had no time to like make dinner yesterday. Like, let's just run out and grab something.
Yeah,
we had a hectic day, and so we're walking out the door, and she has the shirt on.
Oh, nice!
And she says, "Should I? Is it okay if I wear this shirt out to pick up food, like with you with me?" Because we go to this one place where they make, we got salads. So we're standing in line, and it's like, I want to stand there like, yeah, you see that shirt over there? Yeah, see that guy on the side? Yeah, that's me. I don't know if you noticed, but yeah, it's me on there. But no, unfortunately, no one pointed it out. And then we were talking to our realtor last night we were doing a video chat with him going over some stuff. And so I'm sitting fully in the frame, and Annette's kind of off to the side.
Right.
So we're talking to our realtor, Dan, and he's like, oh, yeah, so, this house here, it's got 3 bedrooms. Annette, is that a shirt with Steve's face on it? And I angled the computer towards him. I was like, well, funny you should say that, Dan, because for the low price of just $20, you too could be wearing that shirt.
Yeah.
So yeah, go on, like I said, Friday, July 28th, with just a couple days from now. Well, depending on when you're listening to this, we'll place a final order, and hopefully we'll place an order. As long as if enough people order, we will.
Okay. Yeah, the number of people who have messaged us is tremendous. Mm-hmm. Now, this is a process. We're not a business.
No.
I've never done anything like it. So please bear with us. We're not talking within 2 days. If this happens, it's going to take a turnaround time to get the shirts printed, and then a turnaround time for Steve and I to
package them all up.
Sit down, package them, and ship them.
I would say within, it's going to take a couple weeks. Right. Because if we place an order Friday, we'll have them back next week, and then the next couple weeks are a little bit hectic, at least for me personally. So
yeah,
don't be too surprised. But rest assured that if we accept money for them, it is absolute high priority to get them out as quickly as possible.
And we'll be sending out details of that to anybody who's messaged us and said, yeah, I want a shirt. Yeah, I'll pay. This is the size. We'll be sending you some type of payment thing.
We need an intern, man.
I know. It turns out
we need an intern. Either that, or we get the hens to stop clucking and maybe stuff an envelope or two.
No kidding, man. Oh man, you got Annette so worried about wedding invites and stuffing those envelopes. We can't even get these shirts out.
I'll just slip these into the pile. Right. She won't even notice. We're sending. This is for Uncle Murray. He's getting the old T-shirt wedding invite.
Yeah. By the way, if you were in Boston with us, you got the shirt. Please snap a picture, post it. We'll retweet you or share it on Facebook. Show us where you're wearing it.
Talk about its high quality, how comfortable it is.
Just talk about the beauty of it. But yeah, no, snap a picture of yourself wearing it wherever you are, if you have worn it. If not, if you threw it away, that's fine too. Then we'll retweet you just to make all the other people jealous who didn't come to Boston with us.
Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. We hung out with our new friends. Probably, let's see, there was probably 6 of us for most of the day.
Yeah,
walking around. So let's recap. We went to the
Cheers Beacon.
Cheers. Is it?
We walked from there to Cheers Faneuil Hall, where we did a quick nod and said, yeah, we're going to get out of here.
No, thank you.
Like, everybody warned on social media. It's like, yeah, you're not going to, like, that place is the super tourist spot. It's going to be busy. You're not,
street performers.
Yep.
Yeah. Then we made our way to another bar where I had a Boston cream pie, an actual Boston cream pie.
Bell in Hand Tavern, whatever it was called. Yeah, got a couple drinks there.
Put a couple stickers on their menus.
Yes. Should not go unsaid. We walk into Bell in Hand, look around, because obviously there's like 6 or 8 of us at that point. Look around for a table or a spot to be, and one of the managers goes, "Oh, hey, plenty of room upstairs." And we all truck upstairs, look around. It's like 4 total tables up there, and then literally open space.
Yeah, there was it was like a club, but in the middle of the day, because it was just a big dance floor.
Maybe that's what he meant. Like, hey, if you're looking for open air.
We did look like we were ready to dance.
Yes.
So he must have seen us walk in
the door and say,
We had
the look of a burgeoning dance troupe coming through the doors of a Boston tavern at 3 o'clock on a Saturday, right?
So we stayed there for a little while. We had another drink and some food.
An authentic Boston cream pie, like you said.
Boston cream pie. And then
what a treasure.
We had a lot of people say you have to go to this pastry shop called Mike's. So we walked another couple blocks.
100 miles.
And we go to this place, and I'm like, I bet it's the place with the line around the block.
Yeah,
and it's
middle of the day.
Middle of the day on a Saturday, and there's just a massive line out the door, down the sidewalk, for a place that their specialty is the cannoli. I mean, you can't really get any better than a delicious, wonderful cannoli. Oh man, still a little annoyed that Nikki had no idea what a cannoli was, had never had a cannoli.
Not only that she didn't like it.
Nikki,
if you're listening to this podcast and you're not either a reborn or an original cannoli fan, turn it off.
Yeah.
Go watch The Godfather, slick your hair back.
Leave the gun.
Take the cannoli. And take the cannoli. That's like a prerequisite for this pod. That's my first ever cannoli. Mm-hmm. Right? Delicious.
Oh, incredible.
An outstanding dessert. That hard crust pastry shell filled with delicious cream filling with other flavors added, which we decided to triple down on idiocy. 2 men in their 30s having, for the most part, more than usual, a lot of beer that day.
Yeah, definitely.
Had eaten a meal at Cheers, already had a dessert and a Boston cream pie. A lot of beer.
And that Boston cream pie was finished maybe 20 minutes before the cannoli experience.
Maybe. So mix that in with the walking, the sun. We get there. You feel full, right? But still, you got to get a cannoli.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to.
That was delicious. What a treasure.
When everybody says this is the place that you go to that place.
Right. So you're not going to doubt them. And sure enough, everybody was, I mean, the volume they moved through was tremendous.
Oh, it's impressive.
That we weren't in that line for more than 5 or 10 minutes?
Yeah, it was maybe 10 minutes. Went in, got the cannoli, and they all just stood in the street like a bunch of gavones and just sat there and ate the cannolis, and they were fantastic.
Loved it.
Every one of us, we finished, and, well, not all of us finished. Some of us didn't like them. Anyway,
there was 80% of a good cannoli, a peanut butter cannoli that was thrown away.
Yeah, that's disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
So we
spit on your home country, Steve. That's exactly what happened.
You know what needs to happen? The boot of Italy needs to kick Nikki's ass for not appreciating the deliciousness that is the cannoli.
The vengeful boot of Italy is coming for you if you don't like a cannoli.
Yeah, watch out, Constantine.
Right. Now, what is, you know better than I do, what is old country cannoli? Mm-hmm. Is it just your standard pastry shell and cream filling?
Yeah.
Because obviously these ones were all fancy. It's kind of like filling and flavor.
The ones here, I mean, you could get like Oreo flavored, peanut butter flavored, like chocolate cream. I think there was some kind of fruity cream. I mean, they had a million different varieties.
Well, we found the least adult one we could find.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a chocolate dipped shell.
Yeah.
With a chocolate dipped cream cannoli. in the middle of the street.
And weren't there little chocolate chips on
and
the
there were
end of
chocolate chips in it. Yeah. I mean, it
course.
was chocolate on chocolate with chocolate on the side. Which, no need for that.
Sprinkled with chocolate.
But it looked delicious, and sure enough, it was.
Oh, boy,
so
was
we
it.
all get a cannoli, and at this point, so like you said, there's still 7 of us.
Yeah.
I mean, so Sean's there, Zach's there, Dave's there, and
Sean,
Nikki and her daughter.
Zach, by the way, is there, even though he's well past the time that he had to go to dinner with his wife and I believe his in-laws that
He was
night.
going to his in-laws' house to have dinner. He had an hour-plus drive. He ate a meal at Cheers. He's drinking beer. He had a Boston cream pie at the tavern, and then has a cannoli. But I now know why, because he tells us, yeah, they're vegetarians, so I don't know what we're having.
Right. So he was assuming that he wasn't going to be filled up by the bean sprouts and hummus or whatever.
Yeah, come here for your tofu gluten-free pita bread.
It's not turkey, it's tofurkey. Oh, that sounds good.
Oh, God, I can't wait.
So he intentionally, he left on time.
Yeah, traffic.
Hit a lot of traffic.
Man. So, yeah, but we were walking, I go, when do you got to go? He goes, I'm getting a cannoli, and I guess I should hit the road.
Yeah.
So, so there were 7 of us at this point. We all get cannolis. And at that point, you and I were winding down.
Oh, yeah. I hit a wall. At this point, it's probably 4:30, maybe.
I shouldn't have drank as much.
And we had, Sean had bought us tickets to go the brewery tour.
Yeah,
at,
Harpoon Brewery.
At Harpoon Brewery, which is a great
Beautiful
place.
hall.
But it was at 6 o'clock, and he was pretty adamant. He said, we got to be there
at
6. Right at 6, because I think that was actually the last tour of the day. So if we had gotten there late, we would have missed it and been out of luck. So we left the cannoli place.
So you're right. This must have been 4:30, a little after.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to take a roll call because there's one stop we have to make yet.
Mm-hmm.
One stop.
L Street Tavern.
And it's on the south side of Boston, which anybody... there's a reason Southie has a reputation, right?
Yeah.
And we drove past a little bit of that.
We definitely drove right through that reputation.
Yep.
With our Uber driver...
Fossey...
No, it was Tesfahawat.
Tesfahawat.
Yeah.
Didn't try to say that.
No.
We probably could have been like, hey, Tessie, what's up?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious because I wanted to ask him how to pronounce his name, but I didn't want it to come off as like, hey, how do you say your name?
Yeah, you don't want to be a jerk, right?
I wanted it because I was legitimately curious because it was a string of letters like I've never seen before.
Yeah. Now, the Uber ride went fine, but it needs to be said that Dave was the smallest of us, sat shotgun, and he sits down, and the Uber driver...
Wait, didn't Adam sat shotgun?
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, my bad. Adam, obviously. Sits shotgun, and the Uber driver turns to him and goes, yeah, if I'm going the wrong way or anything, just tell me.
We're like, all right.
Which, again, Adam, a truck driver, this guy knew Boston like the back of his hand, too. We're passing, like, buildings. He's like, oh, yeah, between Adam and Sean...
It was a history lesson.
It was amazing. I'll tell you this.
Seriously, like, we walked past a couple of really old cemeteries, like, with people buried from 1600s. And Sean's like, oh, over in that cemetery there, that's where Sam Adams is buried, and blah, blah, blah. And if you look over here, this is the house that Paul Revere lived in. They knew everything.
The next time we do something like this, which it will not be to this degree, I wouldn't survive. You have a lot to live up to, people of that city. Because
no, I'm just going to assume that
somebody's going to be...
No, I'm going to tell Sean where we're going.
Hey,
and
Sean.
Tell him, hey, study up on Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
Because we're going to need a tour.
Yeah, hey, Sean, you've got 3 weeks. We're going to Pensacola, Florida.
Yes. The rich history of Pensacola.
Stephen Kyle Podcast World Tour Stop to Pensacola, Florida.
Stephen Kyle Podcast Spring Break.
Oh, my God. Oh, we're going to Daytona.
Oh, no. Let's go to the Jersey Shore. We'll go to the MTV Beach House.
Yes.
That's still there,
Well,
right?
we're doing that. Well, I've told you off the air. I can't even tell you how many times I need to go to Karma.
Yeah.
which is the bar from the MTV show, The Jersey Shore, that they went to. It seemed like
in Seaside.
6 nights a week, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Man, so yeah, hey, I don't know if it'll happen again, but suggestions are more than welcome. One thing that I think we can both safely say is it will not happen in this same vein again.
No, that was
unless
much,
we can
man.
find it from our airport.
It was a lot because we got on a bus at 7:00 to take us back to the airport, which was really early. We didn't need to be back at all that early. Our flight didn't leave until 9:50. We could have walked in there at 8:30 and been
security
perfectly fine.
was dead. There wasn't a soul in sight.
I would say by the time I inhaled that cannoli and started regretting my life, I was done. I was like, I cannot do this anymore. We went to the L Street Tavern, which is from Good Will Hunting. The famous scene where he goes up to I forget what the character's name is, but he bangs on the window. Do you like apples? Yeah. And then, bam, slams the note up against the window and says, well, I got her number. How do you like them apples?
Yeah, and it was after, so the confrontation in the bar. But anyway, it's a famous scene, and like I mentioned 40 minutes ago when we started talking about this, if you're listening to this and you haven't seen Good Will Hunting, just hit pause,
Do it.
Go turn the movie on, come back in 2 hours, wipe the tears from your eyes.
Yeah, we'll be here.
Well, and you know what? The pause button works. We're going to pick right back up. That's a movie that needs to be seen. But yeah, the image from that scene is iconic. You know, he slaps his hand on the window, like you said. They hang out in the bar. Him, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, Casey Affleck, and the other guy.
Yeah,
who is that? Who is the other part of that crew? Now that's gonna bug me. So we walk in, and I've said it before. I've been to Boston once, and I spent maybe a half a day there. I was on an East Coast road trip with my friend, and I did not like Boston. I didn't, we were on a largely historical trip, and we passed it again on our trip. This time, the site of the Boston Massacre, which for all intents and purposes began the Revolutionary War. Yeah. There's like a tiny circle on the ground.
Yeah, it's made out of like right on the sidewalk, and it's basically like paver stones in the shape of a circle, and it says site of the Boston Massacre, and then it's got the date on it. It's like 1770, whatever. I forget what the exact date in 1770 was. But it's weird, like you're standing there and you're thinking, this is like remarkably old.
Yeah.
And
people died on this spot that incited what started this country. And you've got hippie with a twisted mustache riding his unicycle over the top of it.
Know.
And I know not everybody's to the degree of me, but I look at that and I'm like, boy, there's no way that doesn't come off as disrespectful to me.
And
I get
it, but the same, it's also a sidewalk. Like,
exactly. And that goes to
maybe put some kind of pillars around it or something,
right,
so you can't just walk over it.
That goes to my point of what I was getting at. Of every time I've been there, it's like, hey, and even with the Good Will Hunting bench to a lesser degree, I know it's not this historical landmark, but you have cities and places in Hawaii and other that make millions off of, hey, come see the site where such and such was filmed. And the only reason we know about the Robin Williams, Matt Damon bench is from Google Maps and a PDF of an audio tour.
Isn't that crazy?
Boston is like going out of their way to hide landmarks.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me to see it.
Yeah, but I mean, to play the devil's advocate, the entire city the entire city could have a marker, a plaque
for everything.
I mean, and for the most part, a lot of it does.
A lot of it does.
You can't go down any block without seeing some kind of marker denoting some historical moment that happened there 300 years ago.
Yeah, and I mean, we're walking down the street to another bar, and I think it was Dave goes, oh, yep, there's Paul Revere's house. Or Adam, I'm sorry. Oh, there's Paul Revere's house. Wait, what?
The midnight ride?
Yeah.
1 of by land, 2 of by sea?
Like the first thing that we see when we get off, I think it was Adam again who pointed out, or maybe it was Sean. Oh, yeah, I see the Golden Dome. It's obviously the famous, what is it, the state capitol building from The Departed, the Golden Dome, but it's everywhere there. So I guess the whole city would be a historical marker, but still, if you're going there for standout monuments like Philadelphia has. You know, they have the Liberty Bell encased in glass, and it's a hallway to walk through. And the same thing with Independence Hall. You're not going to find that there.
Right.
It's just it's a much different city in that regard. But so we make our way to the L Street Tavern, where Sean and I are the last ones drinking.
Then I
didn't even finish mine.
Yeah, we were only there for
30 minutes.
Oh God, I don't even. I think it was like 15.
You're probably right.
I think it was about 15 minutes or so, because at that point we had to catch an Uber again to get over to Harpoon
Brewery.
That's right. Took a tour of Harpoon, which was awesome.
That was really cool.
By the way, if you're in Boston and you happen to see a Steve & Kyle podcast sticker stuck anywhere, there's at least one at Harpoon.
There's one outside of Mike's.
There's one outside of Mike's, a couple storefronts down. There's one across the street from Mike's. Actually, a few across the street from Mike's. On a few. If you happen to come across any of those stickers, like, snap a selfie of you and the sticker, and then like a wide angle so we can see exactly where you are. Send that to us, and we'll send you a shirt or something.
Yeah, we'll figure something out if you find those. If they're still up.
We had the whole street team out.
Yeah,
sticker in the whole city
for the big band gig later that night.
I mean, we put up upwards of 6 stickers.
Yeah, if you find them, you come to the show. Yeah. Which again, we noticed. Well, not noticed because it was made that way. There's no mention of like a website, nothing. It's like, just has the name on it.
That's kind of the beauty of the world that we live in now, though.
Right.
Because if I had any interest in that, like, I'm either going to look at that and have interest. I'm not going to have interest in it because it has a website on it.
Yeah.
And if I am interested in enough, I'm just going to go to Google and type in the Steve & Kyle podcast, and then okay, cool.
Yeah,
I don't think we really need, in the Google age, you don't really need the
right. You don't need a direct link. So we said, by the way, the L Street Tavern. The one cool thing there, we go in and it's just a tavern in the south side of Boston, and we sit down. We pick a random table because at this point there's only 4 of us. Mm-hmm. We pick a random table. And I'm reading about it because we're trying to figure out what window Matt Damon slaps the napkin up on.
The place has been
it's been renovated,
It's been renovated since then. So the windows that were there are no longer there.
Yeah. So we're looking. I'm thinking, wait a minute. All of these news stories about the L Street Tavern have the same picture of the inside, and it's the table we're sitting at because that's the table Ben, Casey Affleck, Matt Damon, and it turns out Cole Hauser.
Oh yeah, of course.
Sat at,
and it's funny because you're looking at this on your phone.
Yeah,
and then we look up. I look to the left at the wall, and there's the article right there.
Yeah.
With a picture of them sitting at the table that we're sitting at.
Yeah, and I think it was Adam who pointed out right above it, like, oh yeah, hey, look at the picture from the movie. There's the 2 screws that the Coors Light sign was hanging from in the movie. They just took the sign down, but it's still there. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, that was really neat. We got to sit at the table that they sat. So if you want to go to Boston for filming locations, 1, impossible to find unless you pull it up on your phone nonstop. And 2, they're hidden, but they're easy to get to because nobody knows about them because they're impossible to find. But so yeah, we made our way to Harpoon, did our tour there, that was really neat to see, and I wish we had done it earlier, so I would have enjoyed the beer. I liked their beer, but I would have enjoyed it more earlier when I wasn't to my throat in food and garbage.
Yeah, it was. So after we left there, we walked a couple of more blocks and hopped on our final train or our final bus ride of the evening.
Yeah,
took us back to Logan, and we just sat there in the terminal for a solid hour and a half or 2 hours.
I don't think we said a word.
No.
We both had headphones on, or you had headphones on. I put my hat over my eyes and tried to take a nap.
Yeah, I was watching Last Chance U. I downloaded a couple episodes onto my phone, and then we got on the plane, and I was like, I'm going to keep watching another episode. And I got like 10 minutes in, and I hadn't fallen asleep yet, but I realized I'm like, I just don't care what's going on in this show enough to stay awake.
Yeah.
And I closed my eyes and went to sleep. Was woken up a few times by
Johnny jokes a lot.
Yeah, flight attendant chuckles up at the front of the plane.
So we're in an age now where I don't fly a lot. You fly a lot, but I think it's all of these flight attendants looking to be the next viral one about, hey, this flight attendant does the safety reading in the vein of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air song.
There was the guy
Everybody's trying to do that.
There was the guy that did all the Looney Tunes characters. And yeah, because somebody wants their phone to be pulled out and then
get a video and you're like, hey, you're a famous flight attendant.
You're on BuzzFeed for 5 minutes. Well, this guy did I had my headphones on, but I could still hear his sweet jokes when he said, is anybody celebrating a birthday today? One hand goes up, let's give him a round of applause. The whole plane starts clapping. Now, it should be noted, we flew Spirit Airlines. It was a 9:50 p.m. flight.
On a Saturday.
At exactly 9 o'clock, they started... Well, we're going to begin pre-boarding. If anyone needs any additional time getting down the jetway, please come up front. And then they did like military personnel, then Zone 1, Zone 2, Zone 3. We're in Zone 3. We boarded that flight at 9:05 p.m.
Yeah.
For a 9:50 flight.
Which is the earliest boarding you'll see. Usually it's 30 minutes in advance.
Yeah, 30 minutes, and typically you're on 20 minutes in advance and out of there on time. Well, we sat in that freaking plane. We were in our seats for an hour before that plane took off.
We did not take off until after 10, and I'm looking around, I was like, man, someone... Well, it turns out, so there was a younger female couple who sprinted on after the jetway is supposed to... I think, 15 minutes. Yeah. It's supposed to be closed. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they left it open because they knew two people were checked in. They were waiting. So, 9:42... Two girls come sprinting onto the airplane and sit directly in front of us. And you can tell, like, they were the last ones. They're sweating profusely.
Sure, they probably ran 20 minutes through the airport.
Right. So, whatever. It's a bummer because outside of those two, we were on our way to getting home early.
Yeah.
Which was, I didn't consider it because I was like, well, then next thing you know, we'll have to wait. We'll be, we're eighth in line to take off.
Yeah.
So I wasn't trying to think of it, but it's hard to avoid this idea of, like, after all this,
it's really hard.
Maybe a flash of hope that we can get home a few minutes early.
Yeah, and I'm totally guilty of that before. Like, you get in that mood where you're dead tired. All you want to do is be at home, and you're pissed at anyone who is holding you up from that at all. And I always have to say, like, it's cool, man. It's cool. It's going to be another 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Grand scheme of things, you haven't slept all day. You haven't slept in 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
What's another 10 minutes?
So Johnny jokes a lot. The flight attendant is doing his bit. He's up at and again, it's what can only be described as the worst crowd work in history because it's the same thing. It's because we're headed back to Michigan. Anybody have any Michigan State clothes on? And I have a Michigan State hat on, but I'm in no mood for these games. Mm-hmm. And nobody really answers. Well, the rule is you've got to turn it inside out and put it back on for the flight. Yeah! Oh my God, Michigan fan! Like, oh my God!
Yeah, people are feeding into it, and I'm in my head. I'm like, don't feed the animals.
If you ignore
him, he'll stop.
And maybe go away even.
But I hear, let's see, what did I hear? Oh, he was like a stand-up comic. So, is anybody celebrating a birthday today?
Yeah.
Anybody celebrating an anniversary? Anybody celebrating a divorce? And you get the, you
youngster.
And then his big finale was, anybody celebrating the anniversary of a divorce? Oh. So that went on. Then there was the screaming baby, whose name is Anna. And I know that because anytime Anna would make a noise...
Well, Johnny Jokes a Lot had a plan.
Johnny Jokes a Lot would grab the mic and say, ladies and gentlemen, Anna is awake. Oh, everybody would laugh.
Yeah. And I don't know if he thought that was going to be like, she'll hear her name and quiet down.
Dude.
No, this is a 1-year-old on a Saturday 9:50 p.m. flight.
Baby, when I tell you that baby, like, crying baby on a plane is one thing.
Right.
This kid, this was like screaming bloody murder.
Yes.
I mean, it was those guttural, like,
like,
and it
horror movies could take note.
Went on for a half hour, and even though I had my headphones on, because I put them back on, I'm like, for most of the flight I had them on, but they weren't, like, I wasn't listening to anything.
Yeah.
I'd actually, because I knew I wasn't gonna.
They were essentially earmuffs.
I was just gonna fall asleep. Yeah, I had them on as earmuffs, And so when we were a half hour out and that baby woke me up, I just turned on, I went to music, hit play, and I turned it up as loud as it would go.
Yeah.
And even in like the lulls in the music,
You could
I
hear
would
it.
still hear that kid.
Unreal. Just a crazy scenario that, I mean, you get what you're paying for in that case, but man, between John, you just want to get, and obviously you and I were the only ones who had just spent 9 hours in a foreign city.
Yeah.
And we're flying home that same day.
And in the back of our heads the whole time we're thinking, even after we get home, even once this plane's wheels hit the ground, we still have 3 hours before we're getting home.
Before we're in our own beds. Yeah. So Johnny jokes a lot, continues his routine because, of course, we get to the airport in Detroit and, hey, the gate's not prepared. So we had to wait another 10 minutes on the tarmac. So we ended up getting in like
10. By the way, 10 minutes tarmac time is like 6 hours real world time.
Right, because there's nothing. I mean, you have your phone and everything, but you're just sitting in a hot box with 100 and whatever other people
screaming baby, and Johnny jokes a lot.
Yeah, and Johnny's doing the bit again. He's back on there. And
Johnny at one point said something, and then this is when it got interesting. This is when it turned into this is when Laurel met Hardy. Johnny's up at the front of the plane doing his bit, and then you hear the sound that the intercom make, like the ding. Johnny, you're crazy. And it was the flight attendant in the back of the plane. Well, oh, good. This place erupted in laughter.
Oh my God. This would have been the perfect late night talk show crowd.
Yeah.
Because you got to get them like warmed up and everything for the opening monologue. Man, these people were primed for anything. If a juggler had started walking down that aisle, like it would have been the most uproarious of laughter I'd ever heard.
Yeah,
You just say, I couldn't wait to get off of there.
It was pretty rough. We finally got off that plane, and it sucked because we knew we had at least a 15-minute walk to get back to the car.
Mm-hmm.
Finally got back to the car. Got in the car, and man, I held true to my word. And I pulled out my pillow, and I reclined the seat. And I remember we got in the car at 12:15, and I was awake because it's a little confusing to get out of the airport. By the time you go through all the pay for the parking and everything. So I made sure that we were out on the highway. You had the GPS on, and we were cruising. So I was awake until probably 12:25 or so, 12:30. Yeah. And then, boom, out. Fell asleep. 45 minutes later, though.
It was longer than that.
It wasn't that much longer, because I know I was awake. I was awake for a long time before I finally put the seat up.
Okay, that's when you put the seat up. We were probably, I think, 40 minutes from home, so we had the most of the legwork was done. But while you were, I heard you like moving around and spinning and everything, I was to the point where all I was doing was I was scratching my head and my neck for about 40 minutes with alternating hands, just trying to stay awake because I was struggling. I was like, well, I'd like, I should stop, get a pop or anything, but now I don't want to do that because I don't want to stop, and I don't want to, if I take this caffeine pill now, I'm going to be up till 6 in the morning. Yeah. So, but finally you,
I woke up and I felt like I had a weird like kink in my back or something, which isn't surprising if you've ever slept in a car. Like, I mean,
after sitting on an airplane,
it's not very very suitable for sleep. It's not comfortable.
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, I'm trying to push my shoulder blades together so you can kind of like work out a cramp or like stretch out my chest or whatever. And then I realized I'm like, that's not my back. That's my chest. And it took about 2 seconds for me to realize that it was a very similar feeling that I had last summer, moments before I had my fart attack.
Yeah.
Which why I was in the ER. And then once that got in my head, I was freaking myself out, and I'm laying there, and I'm like, oh no, what do I do? Do I ask Kyle to pull over? For some reason, that was like the last thing in the world. I'm like, no, I can't do that to him. We gotta get home. All I have to do, because I knew if I could go in, use the bathroom, chances are I was going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't take it anymore. After tossing and turning for about a half hour or so, I finally pulled the lever, tilt the seat back up, and you said something like, "Can't get comfortable, huh?" I was like, "No, man, something's wrong."
You said, "My stomach's in knots." It reminds me of when I had the fart attack last year, and I said, "This isn't a big deal. If you want to stop, let's stop." Because I don't want to, but it's probably a good idea. And back of my mind is, no, that's a great idea, because before you pulled the chair up, there's times where it's like, hey, I'm seeing double. And where it feels like half your eyelid flips over your eye so you can't see everything. Like, I'm tired, right?
Yeah, you're hallucinating.
So we pull off. I was like,
luckily it was like
a mile from an exit.
Yeah, we were a mile from an exit, and there was a gas station right there. So I got out of the car, and I walked in to what can only be described as the most depressing scene ever from any movie ever shot. And ignore all of that, because at this point it's 2 a.m. almost.
Right.
And I walk right into the restroom. And I'll spare you the details, but I was sitting there trying to, like, I knew that it was all of the garbage that I ate that day.
Yeah.
And I was clogged up, and I felt this massive gas bubble right in my chest. I'm like, okay, I do not want to go through this episode again that I went through last year. So I'm sitting there, and I'm like, wait a minute. I don't think it's going to come out that end. I think it might.
Oh, boy.
Oh, God. Stand up and put my belt on, and I'm like, oh, God, here it comes.
Oh.
And I barf. I barf right into that toilet.
Boston made you vomit.
Let me tell you, if you have never barfed up a Boston cream pie with a cannoli on top of it, I don't recommend the experience very much, because it was like, dude, it was like I had taken a tub of Elmer's glue, dipped some bread in it, and then said, "Yep, this is my sandwich for today," and eaten it, because it came up just as paste, as globs of paste.
Oh my God. I had both of those items.
Yeah.
And I don't want to think about the idea, because they were delicious.
Let me describe it in a little bit more detail.
Oh, well, thank God.
Even after saying that I'm not going to go into detail.
Well, yeah, you don't want to offend anybody.
Yeah. You know how most of the time when you throw up, it's just like, it's a spray, and it's in the toilet, and it's terrible. This was the equivalent of picking up rocks and dropping them into a bucket of water. Like, I'd have one heave, and then it would be like, bloop, and a big bloop would just sink to the bottom.
So it was like,
it was very controlled.
Right.
I was impressed, because even though it was a truck stop bathroom, I still don't want to make a mess of the place. So it was basically like every couple seconds I would barf up like a lemon-sized glob. It would fall into the toilet. I was doing the the ski slope, like the ski jump position where I was.
Oh wow! So you were vertical over the top of it,
yeah.
Because obviously, I didn't want anybody who's ever drank this. I
don't want the splash effect. I don't want it splashing
on you.
I don't want to come out covered in my own barf. I mean, that would be embarrassing.
Worst case scenario, or is that the truck stop's covered in those.
Yeah. So that made me. I was in there for about 10 minutes or so. Came out. Grabbed a bottle of water, grabbed a pack of gum, made my way back out.
Yeah.
And I would say if I felt at about 10% when I went in there, I was probably up to about a 30%. I still felt like crap.
Right.
But I was like, all right, well, I feel better. I know that I'm good.
A little more tolerable.
We had another 40 minutes home. But that was... So like I said, when we walked in there, I was like, man, this place is depressing. Like, there were people sitting in there, because it was one of those places that it was like a truck stop, a gas station, a little convenience store. I think there was a Subway, a little sandwich shop. So at 2 a.m, it's weird for me to look and see people sitting there like having a meal.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's
a different life.
Yeah, exactly. It's a completely different life. And I'm sure that my life to them is crazy too. God, this is just really depressing. And the woman behind the counter, everything about it just screamed like, I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
So I left, got back in the car, and you had gone in to get a drink or something, right?
Thank goodness. So being able to move. So yeah, I think when you got back in, I said, yeah, they didn't have any normal size, so I had to get the world's biggest beef jerky, which was like 2 full-size sticks. Because, like I said, they didn't have any of the normal. So, like, yeah, I just had another meal of beef jerky.
And that's good.
The world's largest Diet Coke ever as well.
Well, I mean, at least you went with the Diet Coke because you were, you got to...
Had a lot of not diet that day, so I figured, start cutting the calories.
You got to be responsible.
Yeah.
But you said something to me like, did you see the depression sitting at that one table?
Oh.
I was like, no, I did. I must have just had tunnel vision and wanted to get out of there because I didn't see anything.
It was just outside of like the separate subway area, which is a small seating area. There was like 3 separate small tables, like the 2 top tables. Mm-hmm. And there were 4 children, I'm guessing ages from 5 to 15, heads down, like sleeping on these tables with what I presume to be their father sitting up at one of the tables, and then he gets up to take a phone call, and then when I was walking out, they were all starting to stir to get up and go follow somewhere.
Oh boy, that is.
I wouldn't even begin to speculate what was happening, but you're right. That's the site of depression. Like you're like, oh my god, something seems terrible.
Yeah, that's one of those things that really puts things in perspective for you.
Yeah,
like oh man, I've had a rough week.
Yeah.
But not that rough.
Man, Steve, I don't think our lives could get worse, man. We just spent 12 hours in Boston. Now we have to drive.
Yeah, we have to drive a car and go home to a nice house and bed.
Man, this sucks.
And a loving significant other there.
This isn't going to get worse. Man.
So the rest of the trip, luckily, was fairly uneventful.
Yeah.
Got home. I laid down in bed almost exactly 24 hours to the minute that I got out of bed.
Yeah.
Because I got out of bed at, I think, like 3:07. I think my first alarm went off. And I laid down in bed at 3:01.
Yeah, I must have been right on top of you. I got home, it was a little after 3. And by the time I went to bed, it was probably 3:15, 3:20. And
such concluded the Whirlwind Boston trip of 2017.
The Steve and Kyle podcast, World Tour 2017.
Yeah, if you go back on Twitter, it's at Steve and Kyle, Facebook.com/Steve and Kyle. And I think we did a pretty good job of chronicling the entire day from the minute before you picked me up until I think the last thing we posted was when we were going to the airport. Oh, no, that's right. You posted that picture or you posted that video. I should probably pull that up so we can play it, of the noise that the airplane was making.
When we landed. So we landed and, like I said, we had about 10 minutes of tarmac time, or whatever, however long it was, and mixed in because, hey, budget airline, one of the worst noises humanity has ever experienced took place for, at minimum, 5 minutes of this 10-minute sitting duration with no acknowledgement. Johnny Jokes-a-Lot's routine was over, so he didn't come over the PA again. The pilot didn't come over. I had earbuds in, so I didn't know if he announced, like, hey, waiting on the gate type of thing. I'm assuming he did. So we're sitting there in our two seats. You have people bustling, just waiting to stand up and get off the plane, and this is taking place for about half the time.
Now I know what you're thinking. Why is there a whistling St. Bernard on the plane?
So this is the noise we're dealing with. It's only midnight. Yep. This is normal. I'm sure all the airlines have this.
It's been going on for 10 minutes. So that went on, like I said, you probably can't hear me in the clip, but I said this has been going on for 10 minutes. That was something mechanical in the bowels of the plane.
But again, just no acknowledgement, so at that point, the air's off. Like, those little air jets aren't on because they're waiting to go to the gate. And then that kicks in. Boy, I had forgotten about that. Thank you for reminding me. Mm-hmm. That idiocy kicks in. So, yeah, we had people saying, like, I thought it was a dog. Like
It
no.
sounded like a dog, but it was like the hydraulics or something.
Like going back and forth, and I don't know if that's the same thing as the whistle,
No.
whatever that was. But what a way to finish.
Yeah.
Right?
It was so fitting that's how it ended. That's how it all ended, with us just pissed and tired.
Yeah.
Like
And-
it was inevitable. We were on a collision course with that moment right there for the previous 20 hours, and we were going to run right into it, whether we liked it or not.
I mean, there's a ton of smaller interactions that took place that they're going to come up over the weeks as we get remembered. The one I thought was the funniest was we're in Boston for no more than 5 minutes. We get off the airplane. You use the restroom. We're starting to walk out of this terminal or walk out of the door where everybody else is walking out.
Yeah, everyone is walking out the same set of double doors, and I noted, man, that's weird. Like, in my head, I'm thinking, that door definitely says emergency exit alarm will sound.
Yeah.
Everyone is still walking out this door. They're walking up, and it's the double doors where you push on the little bar, and it unlatches and opens. And I watched 15 people walk out that door, and there was a woman, an employee. I'm not sure if she was the airline or the airport employee. She was standing right next to the door. Everybody else, push the door, walk out.
Yeah.
Push the door, walk out. I walk up, I put my hand out, and she yells, "Don't push that!" And I'm like, "Woof!" I put my hands up like I'm under arrest.
Yeah.
I was like, "Huh?" She's like, and then she hit some button on the wall
like a dozen times. She just kept hitting this side button.
Yeah.
Nothing happened though, did it?
No, and then I just walked out the door.
Yeah.
What the hell are you doing, lady?
Why are we different?
Now, that didn't really surprise me a minute later, because once we got out into the hallway to nowhere, we noticed that there was no ceiling in the place.
Yeah, I took
there
a picture.
There were vents
and
hanging down. There were streamers, like they had just had a parade go through there.
Yeah, no, Logan looks great, you guys. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, they are. Man, major city sure has a nice airport.
If you don't want to, if you go to our Twitter feed and if it looks a little jostled, if you just click on the hashtag, so for the majority of the tweets and stuff we use hashtag SK World Tour. If you just click on that,
SK World Tour 2017.
If you click on that, it'll bring up all the tweets, presumably in order if you want to follow our day to see what it was like. But I really enjoyed it. Being there and being able to meet anybody who listens to this dumb garbage we do every week. That was really fun. It's just the logistics around it sucked.
Yeah,
like I said,
the thing is though, we purposely did it that way.
Yeah,
because neither of us wanted to be.
Like you figure out an overnight. It's harder.
Neither of us. It just wasn't. At this time, it just isn't possible.
Yeah,
to do something like that. But yeah, everything worked out great. We had a good time. We met a lot of great people.
Yep.
We saw some people, like in the case of Nikki. I've seen Nikki a bunch of times. It was great to see her. We handed out some garbage merch, which we have some leftover stuff. Again, if you're interested in a T-shirt, send us a message on either DM us on Twitter or send us a Facebook message.
Yeah.
Really, if you send us a message as opposed to just doing it on the timeline, it's a little bit easier for us to keep track of.
I'm looking to have everybody who says yes, sure, size in one place. So when I look back to do this down the road, I can easily access that and message people. So yeah, I mean, for me, it was you've met Nikki, I haven't. It was nice to be able to meet her and her daughter who showed up, and everybody else. Dave, his wife, that we terribly insensitively forgot her name. Dave, Adam, Sean, Zach, just a tremendous opportunity. That was a lot of fun.
So the Steve and Kyle podcast World Tour 2017 officially has come to an end. Maybe we'll do something for 2018.
Yeah. I wouldn't. Listen, I'd do it again in a heartbeat if it was to our airport.
Yeah, either to our airport or somewhere that was like an hour away or a couple hours away.
Well,
where we could
honestly,
drive.
we could easily do one in our own town.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
not
going to be like historical, but it'd be like, hey, we're drinking, come, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, if you want us to come to your town, you have to coordinate with Sean.
Yeah. Now you all other towns be on notice.
Yeah.
You need to draw at least 8 people.
Yeah. You need at least 8, but one of them, and I'm not kidding, has to be Sean. Sean is the Sean is the guide.
Yeah. Maybe Adam. We'll find out where, because Adam's a driver.
Yeah.
So he I know that he used to be an over the road guy, but he's a local guy now. Mm-hmm. So, But I would assume that anywhere in his, in a couple hour vicinity of New Jersey, I would assume he knows everything about every town.
So that's happening.
Yeah.
And we need to figure out like a live where we can at least do a podcast from it.
Yeah.
Boy, you leave there and you're like, oh boy, didn't really do anything, did we?
No, sure didn't.
So you mentioned your Sunday where you rolled out of bed late and you essentially talked about houses again.
Yeah.
I did more than I anticipated. I got to mow my lawn.
Look at you.
And then I told you before we started recording, I was able to go see Dunkirk, which is the big movie release this weekend, right? Yep. So Christopher Nolan, known for Inception and Interstellar and the Batman trilogy, obviously with Christian Bale, decided to do a war movie.
Yeah.
War movie in name, but it's about the evacuation of Dunkirk, essentially after Allied forces had been defeated there.
Right.
So they're stranded on a beach, and it's, hey, we need to get hundreds of thousands of people off of this beach before the Germans decide to just blow it to bits and kill this many people. This was over my life of I see movies all the time. I don't know if I can count on more than one hand the amount of movies that physically affected me the way this did.
I've heard that. I heard that earlier today. I heard Joe talking about that too.
Right.
How there's I guess a scene where I think he said he saw it in IMAX.
Yeah, and I was going to, but in the middle of the day I thought, after the day before, I thought, well, that's 20 extra minutes drive. Yeah. I'm not doing that.
Oh, different theater.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he said that there was a scene where hopefully it's not giving much away, but you actually feel like you're drowning.
Well, and it doesn't give a lot away. Literally a third or half of the movie is in water.
Oh, okay.
So it could be at any point, but it is. The script itself must have been, I don't know, 5 pages.
Yeah. Because
there's hardly any dialogue.
Really?
And it's just scenery but boy, it grabs you from the first minute, and it's sequence, airplanes, destroyers, shooting this. So I left there with like a stomach ache because you're like, because it's not particularly uplifting. Like in historical terms, hey, the good guys lost. They're trying to run away and not die.
Right.
But hey, a lot of them die. So you watch this a dog fight in the air, and
right.
Just please go see it because it's a tremendous war movie, and it's probably Christopher Nolan's best movie.
Nice.
But be prepared. I would sit, like, if you have motion sickness, don't sit too close.
Yeah, I usually, the only time I ever get motion sickness is if I try to read in a car.
Yeah, looking down, right?
Yep.
But this, and I'm not emotionally in this movie, but boy, there's just so much happening, and you leave not devastated, but you're like, whew. So, like, it's the first time you can take a breath.
Yeah.
So kudos to the movie because it starts off with a gunfight. It ends with a airplane fight, a dog fight. So it takes you through all the spectrums. But man, I probably didn't need to do that yesterday.
Yeah.
After everything that we'd done the day before, it was kind of emotionally exhausting.
Well,
but
especially if it's something that's going to make you nauseous because you're just filled with like 3 pounds of cream from all the desserts that we ate the day before.
Hey, one more dessert. Bring it up.
Yeah. Hey, you guys got Boston cream pie here at the movie theater?
Yeah, right.
I don't know why I'm doing that accent. Boston cream pies.
Boston.
Well, while you were doing that, I was having another day filled with trying to figure out where we're going to live.
So, when you get back to your normal life, how are you going to fill all the hours that you are now dedicating to finding a home that you don't have to, that you're choosing to?
No.
Are you gonna? I mean,
well, it all started a couple months ago because we're constantly talking about, like, whenever we like doing little projects and everything around the house. We've redone a couple of the rooms in the house, the room that we're sitting in right now. And whenever we come up with an idea of like the next project, if it's just too big, if it's something that would never work for this house or it's going to be too expensive, we always have the saying, we'll save that for our forever home. Meaning, we know we're not going to be here forever. It's kind of a small house, and getting married in a couple of months, but we're planning on starting a family. So we know that eventually we're going to outgrow this house. So we had maybe a month ago, we decided, well, you know something, let's get pre-approved just so we can get a good idea of at least what range, like price range we should be looking in.
Right.
So we can kind of get a good idea of what we'll be able to afford, the condition of the house, type of the house. Because we're not buying a brand new house or anything. It's just not happening. So we got pre-approved, and then a good buddy of mine is a realtor. So he's the one that helped me sell my house a couple of months ago. So we had him come over one night, and he sat down at our kitchen table and, okay, how many bedrooms are you looking for? How many bathrooms you want? What kind of school system? Like what, all the stuff that you do, like you did, and I'm sure everyone else does.
Yeah, everybody goes through it.
Yeah. And I did that when I bought my house 6 years ago. So he was like, all right, well, I'll set up a search, and then every day it's just going to forward you listings that fit your criteria. So maybe a month ago, we went to an open house or two. Then another, a couple weeks later, we went to another one. I looked at that one right around the corner from your house, and then another one right around the corner from your house.
The other corner.
Then last week, we looked at another one during the week, and then
Friday you went and saw like 4, right?
Well, it was on Wednesday. We had Wednesday was a pretty rough day here.
Yeah.
But we had already planned earlier in the week. We had already planned that we were. I know it was Thursday. Was a rough day.
Yeah.
But on Wednesday we had talked to Dan and we said, hey, we found these 3 houses that we'd like to go look at. So let's do it on Friday. He's like, all right, cool. We're scheduled for Friday at 5:30 for the first one. Well, then Thursday came and went, and it was pretty awful. And so I said to Annette said to me, she's like, do you still want to go look at those houses? I'm like, yeah, I do. I mean, I don't, but I do, because I know that it's going to be better for us to be out of the house, keep them busy, keeping our brains occupied, so we don't just sit at home and be sad about, the past day's events. So we go and look at these houses, and one was great, but it was basically our house.
Yeah, you mentioned that, right?
Just with everything like a little bit nicer. I mean, well, in some cases a lot nicer. And we walked in and we're like, wow, this is great. This is great. It was basically, if we decided to stay here and do all of the updates that we wanted to do, it would look just like that house.
Right.
But we're like, it just doesn't make sense it would be a lateral move.
Yeah.
Because we can do all this, but we don't want to do it here.
Yeah.
So that one's out. There was one that was one of the most disgusting houses I've ever walked through, despite it looking pretty good in pictures.
So is that one where it was like clean for an hour? They took all of these pictures and then posted them and then let it just fall back into oblivion?
Boy, I don't even think it was ever clean. I think that the pictures, when I say it wasn't clean, like there wasn't stuff laying all over the floor. It's not like there was piles of laundry in the corner, but like you walked into the kitchen and you could just tell, like, oh, that I would never touch that. That is so greasy, that countertop.
Oh,
like I wouldn't cook one thing near there.
That's not good.
Like it's the kind of house you walk through and you just kind of have your hands up the whole time because you're like, you don't want to bump into anything.
Yeah. Oh, so that's automatically out.
That one was definitely out. The only thing that had going for it is that the price was really low, and I felt uncomfortable standing in there. And I'm not a germaphobe or anything, but both of us were just like, no. It's one thing if it's your own mess, like if your own house is dirty.
Right.
But to have to go in and clean someone else's stuff, not happening.
Gross. Really gross.
Looked at another house that it just needed it. That was the one where we really liked. We knew the house needed work, but we loved the area that it was in.
Okay.
So we went and looked at that, and we're like, this could work, but it would require, like, we'd need a small addition on the back of the house. It just
always stuff, right?
And we weren't against, like, we didn't go into it saying, no, we're definitely not doing an addition or renovation. Like, if we found something at a really good price, sure, we're willing to put in the time and the money to fix it up. So then we looked at a fourth house, which we actually weren't even scheduled to look at, but we were right by it, and it was Dan's client. He's like, I got a house that's going up on the market tomorrow. You want to go look at it? And we knew that it was pretty pretty much or pretty high over our budget, but we're like, you know something, let's just go look at it anyway. We're not going to be able to afford it.
Right.
But well, he's like, I could use your opinion on it anyway. So we walked through, and it was a beautiful house, but we weren't going to buy it. So he was like asking us questions. He's like, well, what do you think about that? Or what would you do that? Just trying to, get input.
Yeah.
So it just didn't work out. Then, so that was on Friday. Saturday, of course, we were in Boston. Sunday, I woke up and Annette said, hey, there are 2 open houses around us today. And they were both houses that we had been somewhat interested in.
Which you said, so you're like an open house pro now, right?
Oh, I love it. I love it.
So you love attending, seeing the crowd.
I think it's my new hobby, maybe.
Even if, like, let's say tomorrow you buy a new house,
Mm-hmm.
you think 3 months down the road you're going to be sitting, maybe you and Annette are on the couch watching 4x4 derby demolition car on YouTube, and you go, I'm going to check out an open house down the road.
I got an open house down there on Main Street. What do you think?
Let's go,
I do. I think I would. I think I like
you want to go see what their second bathroom looks like?
I like the sport of it. I like
Seems absurd.
I like the competition. I like knowing that I got to check out the neighbor's house to see if I'm better than them. Like, oh jeez, look at their crown molding. They didn't even caulk after they painted it.
Look at these jerks. Do they even know how to DIY?
So yesterday we go to 2 houses. First one, what I really liked. Actually, we both did. We both really liked it, and I think like we walked through and we walked out of there, and I was like, man, that one really surprised me because by the pictures it looked fine. Walked through there and you could just tell that it was a really nice house.
Yeah.
Really, really well kept and nice updates. What's the matter?
Is there an offer in?
You getting nervous?
I'm getting nervous.
There was no offer put in on that house.
Okay. I don't know where that is. I don't know why I'm relieved. I have no intel on this house.
It could have been your neighbor.
It could have. Yeah. God, please.
So we went and looked at this other house, and
so this is you said number 3?
This is number 2 on the day, but probably we've probably walked through 7 or 8, maybe 10. Okay. I don't know, somewhere in that number. Right. So we look at this house, and this was one that we had been sent, and I looked at the email, and I said, it's all right.
Yeah.
But just kind of brushed it off.
Yeah, nothing stood out to you on the pictures and on the listing. You're like, I love it.
It looked fine.
Yeah.
I thought, that one, that's all right. And I remember like a week ago when we had gotten the email, Annette said, what do you think about this one? And to me, I don't know. It just, nothing stood out about it.
Right.
And I would have gone and looked at it. And I did. Like we went and looked at it yesterday and walked through the whole house. And that was the first house where when we walked out of it, as we're walking down the driveway, both of us said, this is it. I think this is the house.
So outside of the one that we rode our bikes past.
Yes.
This is the other one that you've now thought both. Mm-hmm. This might be the one.
Yeah. And even, now there are certain things that we still like better about that one house.
Right.
But we didn't get it.
Long gone, right? Maybe.
Yeah.
Long gone, maybe.
Yeah. Never know. So we walked out of the house, and we're walking down the driveway, and there was one of the neighbors was walking out of her house, and she had this little adorable dog on a leash. And I said loud enough for this woman to hear. I said it to Annette. I was like, and if we buy this house, we get this adorable puppy as our neighbor. And the woman heard it. So she walks over. She's like, and I'm petting the dog. And she's like, oh, yeah, we love this neighborhood. We've been here for 30 years. And just having nice, pleasant small talk for a minute or so. And I'm still petting the dog. And she said, and this is my dog, Roxy. And for those who don't know, I talked about it on the radio show last week in a commentary. We lost our beloved cat, Roxy, died last week on Thursday. Very suddenly. It's devastating, absolutely heartbreaking. And Annette and I just kind of look at each other, and we're like, okay, okie dokie. We go, and, well, nice to meet you. We get in the car, and I said, well, that was something. And Annette says, I think that's a sign.
It could, but the sign could go either way. Like the sign is like, you need to live here, or the other sign could be like, hey, our beloved cat who just passed away is like haunting us from this area, right?
Yeah, reincarnated into a dog.
And said, don't come near here type of thing.
Well, I hope it's not that one because we put in an offer and it got accepted last night.
What? All right, start typing a town. You type a town so I can Google it because I now need to decide.
You don't even need to Google it because you're going to be very happy.
Hey,
when
nice.
you see that.
Well, I don't know why the MLS listing's not pulled up, and I'm looking at pictures right now, Steve.
So yeah, we this is the kind of funny part though. We put in an offer. Now this house has been on the market for 6 days,
So it's overpriced.
which in this market is an eternity.
Yeah, so it means it's overpriced.
So when we walked into the house, you've been to open houses before.
Right.
Typically, there is a listing agent standing right at the door.
So it's an is this one that was waiting for the open? So
yeah.
So it's one that's probably not overpriced, but they wanted the open house to see what offers they're going to get. That makes sense.
But nowhere in the listing did it say offers accepted up until this time. Blah blah.
Right.
blah.
So it wasn't the gimmick, but clearly they wanted to
Wasn't the
wait
gimmick,
for an
yeah.
open house to see how many offers.
So
they
this
could get.
this had been on the market for 6 days,
Yep.
which, like I said, is an eternity in this market in this area. So we get in touch with Dan, our realtor, and we said we want to put in an offer on this house. He said, "All right, cool." He's excited for us. We're excited, and it came down to price. And he said, "Well, what do you want to offer?" I said, "Look, hear me out here. Let me see what you think. It's listed at this, but it's been on the market for
6 days.
X amount of days. So you can assume that there haven't been any offers on it yet, right?" He's like, "Well, no, not technically. I mean, there could be offers, but so I said to him, he's like, "Let me contact the listing agent, see if there are any offers."
Okay.
So, okay. So he gets back in touch with us a little bit later. He said, "There are no offers." And I said, "Well, I'm not going to offer full price, which
There's
is
no offers,
which is like what you have to do in this area."
Well, minimum, right? Because you said the one you got beat out on, the winning offer was $18,000 over the asking price.
Insane.
Yeah.
So I said to him, I was like, "Well, why would I put in a full price offer if they don't have any other offers? I mean, the worst that they can do is just say no, or they can counter."
Right.
So we made an offer that was it wouldn't have been insulting, a little bit under.
Right. So it's probably under what they obviously asked for.
Yeah, under what they asked for. They came back with another number. We came back with another number. And we settled in the middle.
So this all happened last night.
This all happened between 6 and 9 o'clock last night.
I think I've got 3 potentials.
Okay, let's see.
Hang on, maybe 4. Oh boy, if it's this 4th one, you and I are going to be.
You want this?
I've got 4.
Want this cable?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, go ahead. Plug in.
So I've got 4 that I think are the potentials, right?
Okay. I'm excited to see if
and this is just based on the briefest of searches, price range, room numbers.
Okay.
Right? All right. So this is the first one, but I thought probably not because of the road. It's on a main-ish road.
Okay.
I thought maybe this one.
Okay.
Hang on, let me see. Where's this one? I did like that one. And again, I haven't looked at the specifics.
Mm-hmm.
This one?
Okay.
Because I thought Annette would like the layout. Like the front, the landscape and everything.
Yeah.
And lastly, this one.
0 for 4.
0 for 4? Ah, shucks.
Yeah. 0 for 4. I can pull it up here.
Nice houses, by the way.
Yeah,
those all were. I didn't pick some dump in the middle of nowhere. Be like, yeah, you're gonna move to this crap hole, Steve. Now this isn't a new build or anything, right?
No,
this is
built in 1988.
Okay,
so it's almost 30 years old. Here,
I wonder if it just doesn't show up
plug.
as pending yet because it's happened so fast.
Well, here's what happened.
Well, this is exciting.
This is very exciting, but I need to tell you, there was, of course, it wasn't without incident.
Oh, no.
So it's weird that we walked into this house, and it was listed as being 2 bathrooms. So as soon as we walk in...
Full.
2 full bathrooms,
Good.
yeah. As soon as we walk in, the listing agent was sitting on the couch, flipping through a magazine.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Yeah, you can just walk around.
Oh boy.
Like there wasn't the
Oh, I can't wait to see what company.
it wasn't the hi, welcome. Okay, this
Well,
house,
you're trying to
it's-
sell a house, so
it's
that's
this
the way
many
it should be.
bedrooms, This you're gonna love the dining room. It sure is great. So just very very strange. She just hey, yeah, go ahead.
That is weird.
Look around. Now Annette later on said, well, I think she was pregnant. She was obviously showing, so maybe she was tired. Whatever. I don't care. It honestly, it didn't offend me. It just seemed
It's
a little
weird though,
it
right?
seemed a little bit odd because normally they're there to like, hey, be sure to look at those new countertops. They sure are nice. But didn't really say any of that. But the one thing she did say is it's listed as a 2-bathroom, but if you notice, the laundry room is right off of the garage entrance.
Yeah. Okay.
So you come in from the garage, you go down this little tiny, like 3-foot long hallway, and you got your laundry room. She said the laundry room actually used to be a half bath,
Okay.
but they decided they wanted a bigger area for shoes and boots and all the stuff that you'd put in a mudroom.
Mhm.
So they took out the toilet and they took out the sink. But she said you can just hook up, put in a toilet.
Like it's plumbed for that
It's
stuff.
plumbed. Yeah, you put in a toilet, you put in a sink, turn on the water, and it's done. I mean, the water's running.
That quick.
So I said, "Oh, okay." And she said, "And that's something that they would do for you if you wanted. They still have the fixtures." I'm like, "Great, that's awesome."
So it's almost a 3,
It's a 2.5 bath,
2.5.
But
Oh,
it's-
because it doesn't have
but it's-
the yeah, you're right. So
but
it's
it's
a 2.5. Yeah.
but it's listed as 2. So
Huh.
I said, "Well, that's great." So we went through the whole process, writing up the offer, and I said to my realtor, I said, be sure to tell them that we want them to reinstall the toilet and reinstall the sink because
Yeah.
we want that as a half bath. That would be great. It's right off the kitchen, super convenient. He sent me a screenshot of the text that he had with the listing agent, and it said, hold on, let me.
I hope they threw a fit.
Kind of. And I was very surprised by it. I was, oh, here it is. Okay.
Well, needy Steve at it again, right?
Yeah,
oh, your house is nice, but I need an extra bath.
She said, because he said, we want your sellers to reinstall the bathroom vanity and toilet. She said, I'd have to ask. Let's get the deal rolling and figure that out during inspections.
Nope.
The husband is irritated with price, though. The husband is irritated with price, though. They are doing it, so I just want to get things signed tonight, and I will work that out in a day or two.
So he's
LOL.
mad that they accepted an offer that was haggled on like 3 times, right?
He's mad that they accepted an offer for essentially their asking price. I mean,
It's close enough.
It's close enough where it would be close enough where if somebody offered me that, I'd be like, done.
Done. Right. Because it's not worth the hassle to haggle over the extra.
Enough. Yeah, it's not worth it. And so my reply to Dan was, irritated with the price. Like, he set the price.
He sent the last one. We agreed.
If you wanted more for it, you should have priced the house higher. Because what they did was they tried to do the old trick where you underprice it by like $30,000.
Uh-huh.
So you can attract a ton of people to the open house and then get a bidding war going.
Yeah, we talked about it in this very
Exactly.
podcast.
We talked about it last week. They didn't do that right.
Yeah, something went awry, right?
It was priced because I said to my realtor, I said, how is this priced? He's like, it's priced perfectly.
Okay.
He said, for that area, for the condition of that house, for all the amenities, it is priced just right. So they screwed up. They should have priced it 10, 15 grand lower. They would have gotten them more attention. It wouldn't have gotten to the open house, but they didn't.
Right.
So now we're going into a situation where I got to go over there tomorrow for the inspection. I would assume that the homeowner will probably be there, but it's going to be very awkward because
knowing that he's just going to be like, oh, stupid idiot, dumb.
Thanks for buying my house for the amount of money I wanted to get for it.
Thanks for dealing on this thing.
What I kind of read from that was that maybe the husband wanted to sell it for much more, but the wife was the voice of reason and said, look, we know that we'll get this for it. Let's just put it here. Maybe we'll get a bidding war, maybe not. They didn't get it. Wow. They got a very strong offer, and they accepted it. I mean, look, man, if
That's
you don't want
weird-
to, you don't want to accept it, don't accept it.
There's a couple of very weird things there. One is obviously the guy being irritated, which apparently we can't get away. This podcast cannot get away from weird temperamental men.
Yeah, and that kind of worries me because earlier in this episode, we tough talked softball guy and said that he was the common denominator. Now yeah. Now, keep in mind, I don't know this person. I've never met them. We didn't send him an offer that said, yeah, by the way, F you in your house.
Yeah, hey, your house is gross, but I guess I'll take pity on it.
Yeah, I mean,
you want to take this much less, idiots?
We gave them a very favorable offer. We told them they could remain in the house 10 days after close.
Yeah.
To get all their stuff packed up. And what are you mad at me for, man?
You accepted. That's the most baffling thing ever, right? Is that they're the ones who accept. They're setting the price. They could have easily said, nah, we're going to hold out. Maybe somebody else will make an offer, right?
You know something I actually said to Annette yesterday? After we looked through the house and we went home and we discussed it, I said, you realize that there's a very good chance that we don't get this house because it just seems like everything was too right with it. And she said, yeah, I know. I'm trying, we were trying you're trying to think positively, but you also have to think realistically. And we're like, yeah, we're not going to get this. I mean,
just plan, brace for the worst, hope for the best type of thing.
There she is, right there.
Hey, that's nice. I like that.
Yeah.
I like the color.
Yeah, I know. It's like it's a darker color, but I still don't know what color the house is.
Yeah.
From that picture, it kind of looks gray. It could look green. In person, it looks more like brown.
Right.
It's not as dark as that in person. It's very weird.
Now,
very weird.
If I pull up a map of that city, you can give me a general gist of where we're talking.
You're still trying to figure out how long your commute is.
Sometimes
I would
the
say,
roads in that town can be a little.
What does it take you now to get here? Like 4 minutes?
Yeah.
This will probably take you 8.
That podcast is over. Hope
Maybe
you all
9.
enjoyed it.
Best part about the house? There is plenty of potential for a studio to be built.
God.
There's nothing that is.
So there's not a defined space for the APS.
Oh, there is.
Okay.
And now I need to know: are you comfortable with upping the square footage from 63 to, I don't know, maybe 80? Because I found a nook.
I just question: are we going to get big heads?
Yeah.
If we cross that 75 threshold, get 80 to where, I'm pretty much shouting at you across the countertop. Do we have big egos at that point? Are we Mike and the Mad Dog and where we can't work together anymore?
That would be rough. So, but yeah, it's
no kidding.
It's happening.
Done deal.
Offer was accepted last night. I said, while we've been recording this, I got a message from Dan saying that the inspection's tomorrow at noon.
Nice. So let's say tomorrow, the other house, you get a call from that listing agent and they say, hey, funding fell through. They want to take your offer. What do you say?
Boy, I think we stick with this one.
Right. Well, at this point, it's a done deal, too.
Yeah, and it's there's a lot more. This house needs a little bit more work inside.
Yeah.
Updating stuff. But it's all minor. And
first thing I see we're going to have to do is knock down the dividing wall in the garage. I've seen enough HGTV.
Yeah.
We're knocking that down.
You've
got some expertise with garage doors as is.
I don't like the 2 separate garage doors.
It's weird.
It's
weird. So we're going to knock that down. We're going to get you a new garage door. It's going to be special built, so I'm sure it'll be cheap.
Yeah.
We like to do things around here. Now, even though this is now part of a home that's going to be for sale, I still think as a memento we need to take the double price Hobbit hole door and nail it on the wall, and the new APS is like the memory,
as
right?
A memory of it.
So we're talking APS 3.0.
Yeah.
But we may need to figure out at some point like a placeholder to where we can do the podcast while there's
I'm not worried because there's a room that is going to be the office,
okay,
which is where we started recording this podcast when we first started it last year. So that's just going to be the temporary APS. So actually, that's going to be APS 3.0, and we'll be moving into APS 4.0 once construction is done sometime in the next 6 months to never.
Better not be never. Now, this office, so 3.0, are we talking hardwood, windows?
No, we're talking carpet.
Okay.
Yeah, there's 2 windows, I think.
So sound-wise, it should be better than...
Why don't I just pull up a picture of it?
Now, did you get a fancy virtual tour option on this home, or is it just pictures?
No, just pictures.
You should have called him back and tell him no thanks.
Take your garbage house.
No wonder your stupid house didn't sell, you bunch of idiots.
So there we go. That's APS 3.0 right there.
Boy, that's too big.
Bunk beds are nice, though.
So we're going to bring back like your desk for a while.
Yeah, we'll be back on the desk for a bit. I know.
With this triple size mixer, we're not going to have room to put elbows.
Yeah.
Well, up until I can see that, I cannot give my approval.
That seems fair. If you want to meet me over there, the inspection's
12
at
noon.
Noon tomorrow, so.
I don't know if you've heard.
Got a little time?
Got some free time. 12 noon, send me the address. We're going to take a walk through. I'm going to be that guy. Yeah, it doesn't feel right.
Yeah, I don't know about this.
Just knocking on the walls. No, Steve, come on. You really want to live in this type of garbage? Like, it feels like these studs are closer to 15 inches apart than 16. I mean, you know the rules.
As if the irritated seller wasn't a problem already. These studs just put it over the edge.
You wait till we come in with this list of demands.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, we really don't like that tree.
Yeah.
I want them to yank it.
Notice that paint chip in the crawl space. If you could fix that up, that would be real nice.
Right.
Oh, what's the matter? You irritated? Oh, I can make you much more irritated.
What's
Trust
that?
me.
Is your name still on the dotted line? Sounds like this is a done deal.
Boy, that's a shame. Of course, I'll move into the house in a month and a half, and like all of the copper wire will be stripped out of it.
Right. Well, I think. Oh boy, I would love to tell that story, but we are really tight on time. About when we were moving into our house, but we also have a tight recording schedule this week, so I can save that story for the next time we record.
Yeah, boy, look at that. Surprisingly, we didn't get through 90% of the stuff that we had thought we were going to get to.
Yeah, and I do hate nipping it like that, but I do have a funny similar-ish story to... It can only be described as irritated seller when we bought our home.
Yeah.
So we'll be sure to get to that next time, probably.
Yeah, we're going to get it. Are we going to do Fast Five?
It's up to you. I will defer to the person running the iPad.
Yeah, why not?
Fast five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Now, my brother asks me every week, but like essentially before he even listens, "Did you guys do Fast Five this week?" I think he's waiting for the time we don't do it, and so he can get mad at me and say, "Well, I'm done listening if you're not going to do that."
He doesn't actually listen, though. I would assume.
Does
he really?
Yeah, I think he does.
Oh, I don't believe it.
Well, we did the taste test to see which of our softball team listened. Goose-egged that one, didn't we?
Yeah. Well, no. Chris listens.
Chris
is the only one.
Chris, and I think Rusty, I think they do. I think it was just, obviously it was that day.
Yeah.
So the turnaround of people who had heard us by the night.
Yeah, because I got a message from Chris that last Tuesday morning.
Afternoonish.
Yeah.
Oh, morning.
And he just said like, yeah!
So
because I had said that I'm back in for fall ball.
Yeah, because I heard like Rusty asked you at the game, so he hadn't listened yet. And I'm sure, like I said, I think a few do, but it was a 12-hour turnaround. I think it can be excused if they hadn't listened yet.
I don't know. I still haven't heard from him.
Maybe he does. Maybe he's just putting on a front.
Yeah,
for his old lady.
All right, am I up or you?
I'll go.
Okay.
Number 1, O.J. Simpson.
Oh, the juice is loose.
In 4 months. Or 3 months.
Yeah, 3 months.
Chester Bennington.
Tragic, man. That was, God, just such a sad story.
It all seems out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Sean Spicer.
Probably best.
Hugh Freeze. This is one you're not going to understand.
Hugh Freeze.
Yep.
Don't know. Is that
I'll
like
say
Mr.
Ole Miss football coach Hugh Freeze?
Oh, yes. The one, he was suddenly stepped down because of
what a way.
The whole scandal with, what was he, calling escorts from his work.
The old work line.
Yeah, boy, that. And he was like, we had talked about this last week on segment 17 at my side gig. Now, he was like, he's the guy that, like, you go to his Twitter and it's like Bible verses in the header photo and like, I'm Mr. Family Man. And
right. And then lastly, Baston.
Oh, wicked pissa. That was beautiful.
What a really cool town. Like I said, my first experience there, not my favorite for just no real reason. It didn't feel like welcoming. I didn't really like getting around there. It was hard, right?
Yeah.
But this time, boy, when we got off of the Silver Line, we're in the middle of like and it was peaceful. It wasn't overly busy. It was really awesome. I really enjoyed it there.
It's like our second home now. People know us there.
Oh, yeah, we're regulars.
Yeah.
Hugh Freeze, I mentioned, the coach of Ole Miss. So this is the weirdest saga ever because the former football coach...
Oh, what's his name? Like
Houston Nutt.
Houston Nutt.
Houston Nutt is suing
name.
the university for, I don't know if it's
like
defamation or something on his way out the door. And
because there were like these baseless recruiting allegations.
Yes.
Like I forget. I don't know what the actual term is, but like they recruited in a way that you're not, or there were allegations that they recruited in a way that the NCAA doesn't allow.
Yeah.
And he was just like, what the hell? No, everything, we're good.
Mm-hmm. So he's suing the university. So part of this lawsuit is they're asking for phone records. They gave Hugh Freeze, the head coach, now former head coach, the phone record said, you can black out any personal calls. Those will be automatically redacted. Just write, like black them out and we'll do it.
Which is remarkable that they give them the opportunity.
Because you're just begging to be lied to.
Right. And you forgot to mention that Houston Nutt had originally demanded an apology from the university.
That's all they had to do.
And they said, nope, didn't apologize. If they had apologized to him,
none of this would have happened.
None of this would have happened. Now, an argument can also be made that if they make that apology, they're then admitting some kind of guilt or something. Like that may have opened up a whole can of worms for them. Where it's like, well, if we admit to this,
anybody else can
then
do the same thing.
if we apologize for this, then we're admitting to doing something wrong. And then,
it's like after a car accident, lawyers would tell you, no, don't go say sorry.
Don't say you're sorry.
So he does not black out this one random, it's a phone number from Florida. So when somebody brings it up to him, says, well, what is this? Oh, we dial the wrong numbers all the time. Well, it comes to find out he had called that number on more than one occasion, and it was a number in Florida associated with an escort service and presumably prostitution. So,
boy, isn't it? And he was like a religious, holier than thou man.
You're in that area. You kind of have to be.
Boy, it's weird how many times you hear about the person who they're the family man, they're the churchgoer,
right?
They're helping out at the pancake breakfast, and they're the ones that were doing immoral things and cheating on their wives and like leaving their families.
Yeah. So he meets with the university after this gets leaked out, and before the second or at the second meeting with the university, says, I'll go ahead and quit.
Yeah. Hey, oh boy. This is about the time.
And he's quitting of his own volition because this is one of those quitting / fire. They announced that he would have been fired if he didn't quit.
Yeah.
But he is getting $0 of his remaining salary. Now, college coaches get fired all the time, but it's, hey, your salary you're getting paid for the next 8 years. He is getting $0 and is now out of work.
So and he won't find a job.
It's going to be hard.
He'll find a job at he'll find it. We had also talked about this last week. He'll get another job, but it's going to be at like, central Cleveland area HVAC school that happens to have a football team.
Right.
And he'll do well there.
It's not.
And then he'll get another job, and
he'll be back
6 years from now.
Because it's not that. I mean, you look at Bobby.
And he's a relatively young guy, too, right?
Yeah. So you look at Bobby Petrino, who I think when he was coaching Arkansas, got into a motorcycle accident with a mistress.
Yeah.
Ended up quitting there. He's back in a premier job already. Rick Pitino had sex with a woman in a restaurant or something like that. He still has his high-profile gig. So
America loves a comeback.
Winning pays. It does not matter your
Definitely
character.
Does, yeah.
Sean Spicer, I mentioned before that, the now former press secretary.
Well, is he still? Because he said he was going to stick around until like August.
Oh, I didn't see that. Maybe he offered and that was declined. I don't know. All I know is the most recent one was the new the woman. What is her name? Sarah Sanders.
Yeah,
she's now doing it. But yeah, Sean Spicer apparently finally getting a conscience and deciding he cannot stand for somebody from Scaramucci. From New York, like an investor.
The most Italian name. It's like Guido Starducci or something. Oh, okay. Yeah. So where are you from?
Yeah.
Oh, New York, really?
Oh boy, your hair and skin color didn't give that away.
Yeah.
He was hired as essentially Sean Spicer's boss, and Spicer said, "Not in a million years,"
Yeah,
and
no, thank you.
hightailed it within hours
Yeah.
of his announced hiring. So,
Well, good for him, I guess. I
It's just
actually
weird.
saw a picture. Sean Spicer was on one of the cable news programs, and they had a screenshot of him, and he was smiling. And I thought, like, man, I don't think I've ever seen Sean Spicer smile.
now does he turn heel? Is he on like Fallon in 2 weeks
No.
saying that?
Absolutely not.
Hey, that whole thing was an S show back there, and it's all run by a bunch of idiots. You don't think so?
No. Because he's a career politician, and
Right.
if he turns his back, he's done.
But I thought he wasn't. I thought he was just like a run of the mill Boston guy, because like people are digging up old tweets of his complaining about
Oh
like
yeah,
the Red Sox and stuff. And
yeah.
I wonder. I don't know. I think there's a chance that happens.
I just don't see it. I don't see a lot of people because they're going to end up. You're going to be Ted Cruz. If
Yeah.
you turn your back,
Isolated.
yeah, you turn your back. Like, yeah, you might still have a job, but
Mhm.
you're never getting anything done.
Right.
You're just the guy that turned his back on the establishment.
Right. Which may feel good, but not going to get you anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, if you have morals, good for you.
Yeah.
That was like the only time that I had a little bit of respect for Ted Cruz is when he went after Trump, when Trump said that Ted Cruz's dad killed JFK.
Yeah.
And he basically said, well, I'm not supporting this guy. He's making these ridiculous, insulting statements. And then like a month later.
And then turned around, supported him, and then brought his
spoke at the
family
convention.
and wife, who Trump called his wife ugly,
Mhm.
to the White House to get pictures taken. It was a real heartwarming moment.
Yeah.
Before that, Chester Bennington.
Chester Bennington, from lead singer of Linkin Park.
And Stone Temple Pilots.
Committed suicide. Was it 2 months to the day? Or no.
It was the birthday
it was
of
on
Chris
Chris
Cornell.
Cornell's birthday.
He would have been 53.
Chris Cornell. Yeah, it's probably been about 2 months, though. I think it was in May that Cornell committed suicide. Him and Chester Bennington were very good friends. And Bennington actually sung Hallelujah at
the funeral, right?
At Chris Cornell's funeral. And, killed himself the same way that Chris Cornell did.
Unbelievable. And I never knew, and with a lot of these people, you don't know that he's suffering from depression now.
Sure.
He had admittedly battled alcohol and drugs, but still, boy, this one was a week before the start of their world tour for their new, album and all that, and new music. And wow, just 6 children from two
different
wives.
And there were so many people that said, I literally just talked to him last week, and he said he's never been happier. Things couldn't be better. That's the scariest thing, is that you can see somebody, you can talk to somebody who is in the best mood and you think is in the best spot ever in the world, and they're not. So, man, if you're in that spot, look up the suicide prevention hotline.
Unreal.
Just do something, but do not end up like those two. I mean, it's got to be terrible. I can't imagine ever being in
terrifying.
that spot. But if you are, please just talk to somebody, do something about it.
Mm-hmm. And the first one I mentioned this week, O.J. Simpson,
OJ
dominating the news. The juice
Yeah,
will
man.
be loose.
It's like it's 1995 all over
Right,
again
well,
with the amount
they-
that we've heard O.J. Simpson in the last couple of weeks.
And they were televising a parole
It was on
hearing,
every channel. Literally
And-
every channel aired it.
which when you look at the clips from that, you wonder, boy, how did he get granted parole? He was like arguing.
I was watching it on ABC News.
Yeah.
was airing it. So they had George Stephanopoulos in studio with a couple of other, I don't know who they were, but like legal experts, lawyers, people who were like prosecutors and district attorneys and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And at least 3 times they said, the one guy said, I don't know what his lawyer is thinking. I've never seen someone be so reckless.
So combative. And so, I mean, the quote that you see a lot is, I've led a conflict-free life.
Yeah, and since he was acquitted of the double murder in
They can't,
1996,
argue it.
Yeah, he didn't. According to the law, he didn't commit those crimes.
Just, you read those words and you're thinking, "Oh my God, he's laughing in everybody's face,"
which is ridiculous because he was found liable in the civil suit and owes the Goldman family $33 million
that he'll never make.
So that's a crazy thing. Is that he's technically not guilty of this crime, but you're saying he is responsible for those deaths. But why can't you use that?
Right.
I know that somebody will tell
weird.
me.
It's hard to understand and hard to comprehend, but O.J. Simpson, as soon as October 1st, be released into parole. So does that mean that he has to live in a halfway house? No,
I don't think so.
So he's just free to go. He has to check in with his parole officer, get a job, I'm sure, which the monster from the Bunny Ranch has already offered him a job.
Yeah, but the thing is, if he makes any money, the Goldmans are entitled to essentially all of it.
Yeah, those wages are going to be garnished immediately.
But he is still able to collect his NFL pension, which is like $25,000 a month. They can't touch that. So he gets his pension. So basically, when he gets out of prison, he's going to collect $25,000 a month for doing nothing.
Yeah.
So if you're OJ, you're not going to do anything. You do charity stuff, not like anyone's going to hire him to come out and be at their charity, but like you only do stuff that you are not getting paid for. Because as soon as you make $1,
it's all going there.
Fred Goldman gets it. And if you don't give him that money, you're back in jail. Because I would imagine that is some kind of parole violation or something.
And he's shown no sense that, in OJ Made in America, that documentary, the 10-hour one that we've talked about a number of times, he's pretty much shown there is zero intention to ever pay a dime to the Goldman family.
Yeah.
And you could tell after he was acquitted of the murder, and even after he was found
in the
liable,
civil suit, those videos, the videos of him
partying
at the civil suit, when he was just not even remotely taking questions seriously.
Yeah.
It was insulting.
Yeah.
It was insulting to me, and I have no connection to it whatsoever.
This guy does not care, so he's very clearly he will not pay a penny to that family.
No, not at all. Who do you think hires him? Who gives OJ a job? Like you said, the Bunny Ranch guy.
To be a host.
He's not going to do. He's never going to do TV work again. He's never going to be the sideline
because,
reporter.
like you said, it's work for nothing.
Yeah, why would you do it?
Because he's going to get 10% of that money.
Although, the guy seems like he has an ego, so maybe he's going to do it just so he can.
Right, I think
stick it to people who said, OJ will never work again. Well, yeah, I'll work again, and I'll show you, and I'll even do it for basically free, and still just to thumb his nose in the face of people.
I think you could see him at signings and stuff, like hey, come pay $50, get an autograph of OJ, and I wonder if that money's so easy to be hidden. Yeah, because if you say,
that's what they speculated that before he was busted for the armed robbery, which he was in prison for. They said, yeah, of course, OJ was signing stuff. He wasn't doing it like at a card show,
but he was signing stuff.
But he's signing stuff underground,
taking cash, which the government can't really track the cash you're in taking.
Yeah, if you're, prove it. If I'm OJ, I'm just like, all right, you say I did that, prove it.
Man, what a dirtbag.
Yeah, it's crazy. He'll do something stupid though.
A matter of time.
He'll get pulled they'll breathalyze him. He'll be just barely over the legal limit, and he'll be back in prison, and he'll be doing the same I led a good life. I was a good. It just seemed like he had no remorse for the crime he did commit.
Fingers crossed he's back.
Yeah, he's obviously not a highly intelligent guy.
No.
I'm sure he's very smart in certain areas, but
murder.
Murder. He's
a smart murderer.
Number one at murder. OJ is number one at murder. Man. But anyway, so hopefully he does something stupid, and
it matter of time.
All right, fast five time.
Oh boy.
Fast five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, first one on the list. OJ Simpson.
Oh man, what is it going to take to get him back behind bars? Let's do it.
Next, Sean Spicer.
Kudos.
Yeah.
One last. One only kudo.
Okay.
Kudo?
I will.
Kudos?
Yeah. A single kudo.
So a single is a kudo, it's only if you're giving multiple that it's kudos?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Got that hammered out.
Yeah, I'll reserve my single kudo for like a year from now.
Okay.
See what happens. See
appreciate that.
if he's still like marching with the Trump army. And
Yeah, see if he toes that company line yet.
Yeah.
Keep the kudo in your shirt pocket.
Okay, next, Despacito.
You know, it's a pop song I cannot hook onto. Because one, I can't sing along with it.
Yeah, it's got like let's see,
3 bajillion?
That's Despacito by Luis Fonsi,
Obviously,
and Daddy Yankee.
Excuse you, the Fonz.
Yeah, the remix, which features Bieber, has accumulated over 4.6 billion streams, meaning it's the most streamed song of all time. But there's some controversy surrounding Despacito.
What?
Did you know that the lyrics, when translated into English, are a little bit raunchy?
Oh, no.
Perhaps you'd like me to read them to you.
There's some sexual connotations here.
Okay. Now, keep in mind, this is translated into English, so the meter may be a bit off.
Yeah.
Might not rhyme as well.
Yeah.
Yes, you know that I've been looking at you for a long time. I must dance with you today.
Right. So it's a guy he's pining after something.
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw the look in your eyes was calling me. Show me the path that I will take. Oh. You're the magnet and I'm the metal.
Of course.
I am getting closer and making a plan.
Oh, boy. All right. Little turn.
Simply thinking about it makes my heart race.
All right.
Now I'm already liking it more than usual.
Oh, boy. All right.
Boy, getting a little
heavy
risque there. All of my senses are asking for more. We cannot do this in a rush. Slowly.
Yeah.
I want to breathe in your neck slowly.
Hmm.
Let me murmur things in your ear, so that you remember if you're not with me. Slowly. I want to undress you in kisses slowly. Firmly in the walls of your labyrinth.
Oh.
And of your body. I want to create a manuscript. Up, up. Up, up, up. I want to see your hair dance. I'm not going to read any more of this because it's absolutely ridiculous. I'm trying to find the part when it actually gets
4 or however many billion.
4.6
and
billion.
now people are like, hey, wonder what that actually means.
Maybe we should translate this.
But even still, it's a song about a guy who wants to have sex with a girl.
Boy. Oh, geez, this is crazy.
Rod Stewart made a living off of it in the 70s.
Yeah, Rod Stewart, like, if you want my body and you think I'm sexy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
This should not be remotely in the news for crying out loud. Just enjoy the song.
Yeah, leave Luis Fonsi alone.
Lay the Fonz out of it.
He wrote a nice little song about a crush.
Well, I can't imagine a guy like him ever thought he'd be, hey, I'm super, I'm going to have the biggest song ever.
How much money do you think he's made off of that?
Well, didn't I hear, isn't the story about your song getting streamed, you make less than a fraction of a penny?
Like per stream. But still, even with
6 billion, right?
Yeah, I mean 4.6 billion.
Yeah.
So
I mean, he probably has made a truckload off of that, right?
Well, he did it, and he did a remix of it with Justin Bieber,
which is the famous one.
So I would assume that has something that has some kind of value. You know, you attach Bieber, as much as you hate him, you attach Bieber's name to it, and you're
going to get some listens. You're going to get a whole different audience.
All right, man, boy, I think that we were actually. I did this all in the wrong order.
Oh,
normally we go through, so we can skip Despacito on the way back.
Hang on, though.
Uh-oh.
I have an answer for you.
Did you find the raunchy part?
No, I have an answer for you. This is literally an article titled, "This is how much money Luis Fonsi made from 4.6 billion streams of Despacito."
Okay.
Now, this is where Jimmy Pardo would bet, but because we're sniffing 3 hours, we just get right to it. It does not answer the question.
Okay. Well, that's good. Okay, well, we're moving on.
Okay, so 0.008 cents per stream. He'd have taken home royalties to the tune of $36.8 million.
Boy, I think he'll be okay.
Wow.
That's a lot, man. We need a video that gets 1 billion views.
Right.
Do you have any ideas?
Nothing clever.
Okay.
We should post that sound from the airplane.
Oh, yeah.
That'll get us a couple billion.
Listen to this robot dog bark on our plane.
Listen to that out of context, and people aren't going to know what the hell we've been talking about for 2.5 hours when you say robot dog bark whistling on an airplane.
All right, moving on from Despacito. Michael Phelps.
What a letdown.
Big
Not surprised, but what a letdown.
And the first one on the list.
You wanna go where people know people all are the same. You wanna go where everybody knows your name. Spoiler alert.
Not.
Already happened.
What a thrill. What a privilege to be able to go there and see the inspiration, the Bull and Finch. I enjoyed it. I really did. I'm glad I was able to see it.
Once again, thank you to the people who came out. So before, that was the Cheers theme song, obviously. Before that, we had Michael Phelps as part of Shark Week, which I know you were kind of excited about, right?
Yeah, and we'll get more into it next time when we have a little more time. But Shark Week has a lot of good stuff and then some stuff that, hey, we need to make the news, so let's do this. Mm-hmm. This year's event was him, quote, racing a shark.
Yes.
So obviously everybody was wondering the logistics. How does that work?
Yeah, they're going to put him in a pool.
They didn't. And, of course, the internet was unhappy about how it went down because it was essentially Michael Phelps racing a simulated shark.
Yeah, he raced a computer shark.
Yep, where they got timing from a shark, and then they said, hey, Michael Phelps, you're super, super slow compared to the shark. We're going to give you a fin, and then we're going to say the shark maxes at that speed, but then he really, really slows down, so you have a fighting chance, and we're going to double the size of the race because the shark's going to run out of energy, so you'll make it
sort of close.
So they spent an hour trying to make it close, and then it was, yeah, hey, Michael, you're still slower than a great white shark. And it was the dumbest thing ever.
Yeah, pretty much a bummer. And that was like the big kickoff to Shark Week.
Yep,
too,
that was
right?
was the second event or the second hour thing of Shark Week, and that was a shame.
All right, so we already talked at great length about Despacito. Before that, Sean Spicer. We also talked about him a bunch. That was absolutely. I'm surprised he lasted as long as he did.
Right.
And then first on the list was the Juice O.J. Simpson.
Yeah. The fact that his tail is still unwinding. What other NFL star do you hear about in his 70s, right?
Absolutely ridiculous.
Nobody. Yet this guy is in the news for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
He seems like a genuine piece of human garbage.
Yeah, not the best. Not the best at all. Hey, remember, if you want to order one of those T-shirts, the Steve & Kyle Podcast World Tour T-shirts, which features a map on the back of it with all of our tour stops, such as Boston and Detroit. Hey, we're playing major cities at least.
Oh, well, we're not going to the Bob and Jim's back road pub here, okay? We're doing major towns, major venues.
If you're interested in one of those T-shirts, we already have a lot of interest, but we're still not positive if we're actually going to make the order. Hopefully we'll have enough where it makes it...
It justifies the time and the effort and all of this that's going to go into it.
So I think, would we say 20 a piece for them, and that includes shipping. Send us a DM on Twitter or message us on Facebook, facebook.com/StephenKyle.
Yep.
And @StephenKyle on Twitter. We will repost the images so you can see exactly what you're getting.
Yep, just message us some way.
I think that it might be like, if you want like a 2X or a 3X or anything bigger than that, I believe it's like an extra $2. $2.
Yeah. If it happens, we'll have to see for sure when we get the quotes from the people doing the actual labor of it.
Thank you so much for everyone who came out. The 7 or 8 people or so came out to meet up with us in Boston. That was completely unexpected. Even though people said that they were going to show up, we just assumed that nobody would.
Well, it's an asinine way to spend your Saturday,
and we'd be on our own for a day in Boston, which honestly would have been great. I had a good time. So thank you so much for that. Please keep sharing the episodes and recommend friends to listen. You can download, subscribe, review the show on iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn, Stitcher, and on Libsyn, StephenKyle.libsyn.com, Facebook.com/StephenKyle, @StephenKyle on Twitter. We really appreciate it. We will talk to you next week.
Same time.